Welcome to Truro Town Council for Monday, September the 8th, 2025. I would like to begin with the land acknowledgement. I, Kathy J. Henton, Mayor for the Town of Truro, acknowledge we are on Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. We acknowledge the peace and friendship treaties and recognize we are all treaty people. We recognize African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched the part of Mi'kmaq, known as Nova Scotia, for over 400 years. We recognize the Acadians who lived in harmony with the Mi'kmaq, whose communities across the province are a living testament to the fortitude of their ancestors who survived the Grand Arrangement. Today, as both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, we commit to seek harmonious and mutually beneficial relationships. We give thanks to the elders and knowledge keepers. Now we are going to enter into a public appeal hearing this afternoon. This is a public appeal hearing for Monday, September the 8th, 2025, for 4 Belgrave Terrace, PID number 20172656. Has this been advertised, Mr. Dolter?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it has.
Do we have any correspondence?
There are no correspondence, but there are, I understand, some people that will speak to the appeal when they're given that opportunity.
Thank you. So we're going to begin with starting with a report from our planning department, and then we'll have an opportunity for council to ask questions, and anyone in council chambers also to ask questions. I would ask if the property owners are here to please come down forward here, please, and sit at the table, have a seat, and pull up a chair there for both of you. And thank you. Before we begin with the presentation, if you could just push the button there in the middle and you'll see a light go on. There we go.
Okay.
That's it. And can you identify yourself, please?
My name is Melanie Grant, and this is my husband Ian Grant, and we live at 4 Belgrave Terrace.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So now we're going to start with a report from the planning department, and I'm going to ask our Director of Public Works, Jason Fox, who will present today. Our building inspector, Pat Boyce, is also with Mr. Fox today. So, Mr. Fox, if you can.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in terms of a little background on this for your consideration before you just make a decision on this. So this is a public hearing for a variance refusal for 4 Belgrave Terrace. Just in terms of just a little history here. So the initial permit application to construct a fence was made back in June 23rd, 2025. They submitted, the Melanie and Ian Grant submitted an application for a building development permit to construct a fence on their property at 4 Belgrave Terrace. The proposed 8-foot-high, 2.4-meter fence was to run along the property line between the Grant's backyard and Yonge Street, so running along Yonge Street immediately behind the sidewalk. The proposed fence would replace an existing 5-foot, 1.5-meter high fence in the same location. So this is location of the subject property here. So you can see the corner of, there's Belgrave Street there running east-west, and then Yonge Street running north-south, and the subject property is outlined in blue. So situated at the southeast corner of Belgrave and Yonge. This is a view of the existing 5-foot fence taken from Google Earth or Street View. So this is looking south, showing the existing 5-foot fence with Yonge Street on the right. This is just in terms of a little more background. So permit was refused for the 8-foot fence. So Pat Boyce, the town's development officer, refused the grant's permit application because the proposed 8-foot fence was deemed to be too high. Section 3.1.11 of the town's land use bylaw states that the maximum height of a fence within, it should actually say within 2 meters, 6.6 feet of a public right-of-way is 1 meter or 3.3 feet. So the numbers are just reversed there. On July 29th, the applicant submitted a request for a variance to that section of the land use bylaw to allow their fence to be constructed. So the variance request was refused, was denied by the development officer on August the 13th. Sections 236(4) of the Municipal Government Act states that the decision of the development officer to refuse to grant a variance can be appealed to council. And on August the 15th, the grants submitted a letter indicating they wish to appeal the development officer's decision. The appeal hearing was scheduled for today. And so just in terms of a little bit of the steps we're dealing with here, so the appeal hearing process. So step 1, planning and development staff provide some background, which is what we're doing now currently, on the variance request and provide a brief outline of the reasons for refusal, which I'm going to do in just a second. The appellant would then have an opportunity to make their presentation on the application for a variance. And then members of the public may then address council regarding the proposed variance, and then council would make its decision. So council decision, when hearing any variance appeal, council may make any decision that the development officer could have made. Council may make a motion to do one of the following: allow the appeal and permit the appellant to construct the proposed 2.4 meter high fence along their property line abutting Yonge Street public right-of-way, or they can refuse the appeal and uphold the decision of the development officer to deny the variance. So those are the two options available for council. Council's decision is final and not subject to appeal. So in terms of the refusal, the reasoning behind why the development officer denied the request for a variance, Section 235 of the Municipal Government Act states a variance may not be granted where the variance violates the intent of the town's land use bylaw. The town's regulations respecting the height of the fence along public streets is intended to ensure that the town streets are attractive, inviting, and pedestrian friendly. The requested fence would require significant variance from the requirements and intent of the town's land use bylaw. The requested 8-foot high fence would exceed the maximum permitted height by about exactly 58.75%, and would also exceed the height of the existing fence by 37.5%. The appellant's situation is also not unique. Of the buildings situated on the corner lots along Yonge Street from Prince Street to Civic number 545, 36% of the properties do have backyards abutting Yonge. Along Pleasant and Brunswick Streets, the numbers would be 56 and 30% respectively for backyards abutting the main streets, so i.e. Pleasant or Brunswick Streets. If this variance was granted, the town should be prepared to entertain similar requests from any of these other properties, and a series of 8-foot high or 2.4 meter high fences along neighborhood streets is expected to have a negative impact on pedestrian comfort and aesthetics, and that was the reasoning for the development officer's decision. And I have prepared just a couple of illustrations to show what an 8-foot, not necessarily the fence that was proposed by the grants, because I believe they're proposing to do a solid opaque fence, like the boards would overlap. The fence shown here, their existing fence has gaps between the boards. So this is a view of the existing fence on the property, and then just a view of what an 8-foot high fence would look like at the same location, at the same style fence at that site. And then here's another view. This is just looking. This would be looking south along Yonge Street, so Yonge Street's along the right-hand side. So this is the existing 5-foot high fence, and then we're looking at what would be proposed for an 8-foot high fence at this location. So council, again, just so you're aware of what your motions are, or options are for motions here. So the motion would be to allow the appeal and permit the appellant to construct the proposed 2.4 meter, 8-foot high fence along the property line abutting Yonge Street public right-of-way, or you have the option to make a motion to refuse the appeal and uphold the decision of the development officer to deny the variance. And that concludes staff's presentation on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Fox, and I'm going to now open it up to questions from members of council, and then I will have Melanie and Ian Grant speak if they would want to. So do we have any questions from council? And we do. Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Hitton. Through you to Mr. Fox, is there any wiggle room, like to say a 6-foot fence? Or are these the only two options that we can choose?
The options of basically council has the option to do whatever the development officer is permitted to do, and this, which would be to either approve or refuse the variance. So I don't believe you have that option, but that is a good question for legal counsel. I don't know right off. I think
I'm wondering if the grants come back, say, we'll build a 6-foot one.
Yeah, I think that's what might have to happen. They'd have to come back and apply for a permit to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot.
Yes, I'm assuming that this is a security feature, and I'm just wondering, does the present bylaw speak to more than fences? Like, would a hedge, for example, also be regulated in the same manner?
A hedge would not be regulated in the same manner, no.
Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Yes, just for clarity, it's just the 8-foot is to replace the 5.5-foot fence, is that correct? No, won't be any larger footprint than it is currently?
That's my understanding. The application was to increase the height of the fence along Yonge Street to 8 feet.
Okay. And in town, you can build a 6'6" fence. Just for clarity, can you explain why not in this case? That by right, they can't build a 6-foot?
You can't put a 6.6 foot high fence within 2 meters of is it 2?
Correct. And so the variance that they currently have to put the 5.5-foot fence is not
Sorry,
It does not allow a 6-foot-6 fence, it only allows a 5-foot-5 fence. I'm just looking for clarity.
I'm not clear on your
Well,
question.
well, presently, there's a fence that's 5 feet, 5.5 feet high.
Correct.
That is within 2 meters of public property.
The current fence at its location as it exists today would not be permitted. It doesn't meet the current bylaws, so it would be considered to be a lawfully existing situation where it's grandfathered in.
So it's just grandfathered in.
Yes.
I see. Well, thank you for the clarity.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor Graham.
Could we just be clear on if the grant's appeal is denied today, can we be clear on what the process would be for them to reconsider another fence at a different height?
Well, there's no appeal of council's decision, so council's
I
decision
understand.
is final. So the only option would be for them to reapply with a fence at a lower height. Unless legal counsel has a different opinion on the matter, but my understanding is that you're limited to whatever decision that the development officer can make. That's it. So you can't choose a number in between.
So if we deny the application, we could find ourselves here again if they aren't abiding by the,
If they want to do anything higher than the current fence, then yes, they would have to reapply, and you could potentially be back here again, hearing another variance appeal.
thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I see no more questions, so I'm going to open it up to Melanie and Ian Grant to, if you'd like to address council.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I have some pictures also. Mine are not quite as fancy as yours, but I have some pictures. Can I pass them out? Would you mind?
Yep.
Okay. So, we respect the intent of the bylaw. We understand that we want the town to be beautiful when you're walking, and we live downtown and we love living downtown. Part of what makes it great is that we get to engage with our neighbors. We sit on our front step. We love being in the heart of the city, or the town. It brings us joy. We also want it to be beautiful, so we agree with you. It's that what we're finding is that we can't enjoy our backyard. When we sit in our backyard, we have to pause for the trucks going by our conversation. Then the truck goes by, and then we can continue our conversation. So we're finding our backyard almost unusable this summer. The traffic along Yonge Street has increased by such an exponential rate that it's making it very difficult for us to enjoy our space. To tear down our fence and put a 3-foot high fence is worse than what we have. So the bylaw officer was kind enough to say, fine, you can replace your 5-foot fence with a 5-foot fence and make the boards closer. We'd also like just a little bit more height so that we can block some of that traffic noise. What? And people's heads. That's true. There's just no meaningful sound barrier right now. So I found it very interesting, not to refute anything that the town did. You guys have all of the numbers. But Ian and I drove up and down Yonge Street and counted the houses that didn't have their front yard or had their backyard against Yonge Street. Now, when we counted, in fairness, we didn't count apartment buildings and we didn't count the big duplexes where there would be like a development permit to build them. We just counted houses. We counted 8 houses along Yonge Street where their front door is on the side street. So our front door is on our side street and then our backyard runs along. So 8. Of those 8, 5 of them have driveways on the Yonge Street side. So their house faces their side street, and then where we have our backyard, they have driveways. So there are really only 3 houses along Yonge Street that would need this variance. I believe that our request is a unique request, and I don't think you're going to have 53% of the people who live on Yonge Street asking for this 8-foot fence. So if you want to look at my little pictures, these are the little pictures. So Okay, I understand that the rule is if I want an 8-foot fence, I need to put it at least 6 feet back, 6.5 feet back. So if you can see at the front, I have 2 beautiful trees in my backyard. And I know you love trees like I love trees because I got a letter that we want to build more, we want to plant more trees. I have 2 trees that overhang Yonge Street and they're gorgeous. I do not want to cut those down. I believe that they add to the aesthetic. They're beautiful. So in order for me to move my fence back, I actually have to move it 13 feet back in order for me to even get a higher fence. Because otherwise then I have to cut down 2 trees and I don't want to cut down the trees. So by doing that, I lose 38% of my lot. I don't live in Colchester County. I don't have a big lot. I live downtown. So 38% of my yard, I feel like is too much. I drew pictures, not like your pictures, which were fancy, but my first picture is of the 8-foot fence, and it looked far more dramatic on yours, but I measured this with the ruler, and I feel like it's okay. So this is what the 8-foot fence would look like. So if you flip to the very last page, I drew what a 6-foot fence looked like. So I appreciate Councillor Graham's question, where if we decide, like, I'm willing to negotiate, I want to negotiate, I want to work with the town. I don't want anything to look ugly. I want it to be beautiful. We're getting William Dodsworth to do it for us. He's very reputable. We're paying a lot of money for this. It's going to be gorgeous. Maybe if we say, okay, fine, I'm going to deny I'm giving up even before we're going to go. I'm not going to, no, okay, that's it. Okay, never mind. Don't look at the last picture until later. Wasn't. Yeah. I feel like I've said all the things. I understand the bylaw. I feel like the traffic is bothering our backyard. Our lot is unique. We have constant interruption from traffic noise. 6 feet back is too much. It cuts off too much of our property. I'm not building something makeshift. It's good quality. And I'm not asking for a blanket exception, just a context-sensitive exemption.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We have some questions for you. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, I do have one clarification. Like you outlined that there's probably only 3 other residents on Yonge Street that would be impacted. But if we were to take this decision, we're setting a precedent for the town, not just for Yonge Street. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, so that's valid. I don't know how your town works. Our town works.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pryor.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Deb.
Have you thought of shrubs and trees that may absorb the sound better than a fence?
Well, yeah, so I've done some research on that, and shrubs and trees don't absorb the sound better than a fence. A solid construction, and really to get the noise down, it does have to be higher than like looking at the cars going by. So we're asking for, no, in answer to your question, shrubs do not work. A solid construction is the only thing that works.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, I appreciate your comments today. And now I'm going to open it up to the floor for anyone else if they would want to speak. So is there anyone here that wants to speak? Okay. So if you could have a seat, Mr. and Mrs. Grant, in the gallery, and we'll have, come forward, please. The light's already on, so if you could just identify yourself.
My name's Sarah Jameson.
Okay, and
This,
Adam Jameson.
okay. Mrs. Jameson, if you would,
yeah, we are their neighbors directly up on Yonge Street. We've always tried to have a very good relationship with Elney.
can you speak right into that microphone?
We've always tried to have a good relationship with our neighbors. Melanie and Ian have been, as far as we can tell, good neighbors up to this point, and we've tried to be good neighbors in return. When they came to us with the proposed idea of a new fence, we were happy for them because I know it's something that they had been looking into. We just have some minor concerns, and not really minor. As you can see up on the screen, that is a view from my driveway, trying to see down Young Street to be able to pull out. I have concerns about what an 8-foot fence is going to look like. If I put another 3 feet on top of that, I'm not seeing anything, right? I wouldn't even be able to see a transfer truck coming up that road anymore, kind of thing. So our issue with it is that they want to make an 8-foot fence, and I understand why. It is noisy. The road is very noisy, but that we have a visual issue. That's me pulling out. Imagine trying to back out of our driveway, right? Because sometimes you have to pull into your driveway. Now, I know we're supposed to back in every time, but sometimes traffic doesn't allow for that because Young Street is very busy. So because of that, we have some great concerns about the fact that we can't see. If you get right up against the fence when we're pulling out, because we're a two-car household, my husband parks even further over. That is my van, by the way, not a car. So I'm actually in a lifted seat to be able to see in that when I'm taking that picture. In a car, it's even lower. You have even less visual. And it's very, very difficult for us to be able to see down the street and to safely go out of our driveway every day. I have almost hit, this year alone, 3 pedestrians because I can't see them coming past that fence. So an 8-foot fence is going to be even more difficult. When they came to speak with me about the fact that they were looking into putting up a fence, I was excited for them, like I said, because I thought, oh, it'd be lovely, you know. I know it's something that they wanted. However, I don't want to accidentally hurt someone and maim them by coming out of my driveway. Even at a crawl, you're going to hit somebody, it's going to hurt them, right? But we have to be on the sidewalk before we can see down past that fence. And that is a difficult thing for us to agree to when a 5-foot fence is already an issue, right? An 8-foot fence is going to be even more of an issue. Like they were saying, they don't want to see the heads walking by, but sometimes that has saved us from almost hitting a pedestrian, is being able to see the top of their head. Now, talk about children. We have lots of children in our area. If a child ran out in front of me and I was pulling down and they didn't know to stop and look, I could potentially hit them. If I hit a child, I'd be beside myself. I think all of us would be. So I have serious issues with the 8-foot fence idea. I also have some issues with the idea of how the fence is going to be built. We had a conversation with Mr. Dodsworth as well, and he is talking about encroaching onto our property as about 3 feet. He wants to dig it out. That means our asphalt driveway, and wants to replace it with gravel, 3 feet in. We're going to put it on council right now that we're not okay with that. We're no longer all right with him digging onto our property in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, at this point, if they can't keep it on their side of the property line, we're not okay with it anymore. He's talking about digging out parts of our backyard. He's talking about moving our shed, and moving the shed, fine. If they've got to move the shed, as long as it's contractually signed off on and no damage is done, we are willing to help move the shed so that that can continue, so it doesn't push on the new fence. Our shed at this point in time is 1.5 feet away from the existing fence, and well within what we were told were our property lines. Honestly, that's really the number one thing, is the fact that I can't see down the street, but we did want to put it on record that we're no longer okay with the construction company coming onto our property or digging into our property in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jamieson. Is there any questions for the Jamiesons? Okay. All right, I see no questions. You can go back to the gallery. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask if there's any further questions to ask today to Mr. Fox, to the Grants, or to the Jamiesons. Okay. Seeing no further questions, I'm going to ask 3 times. Are there any further questions today? This is my second ask. Oh, I have a question. Councillor Graham.
Mrs. Grant, if your application is denied, what would your next steps be?
Yeah, so,
If you feel comfortable answering that question.
sure. Yeah, what are my next steps?
You may not have considered that yet, so.
Well, so truthfully, I would reapply for a 6-foot fence. I didn't understand that today we couldn't have like a discussion about it and we couldn't move forward deciding on something that would work for everybody. I thought it might be a discussion. I didn't understand until the PowerPoint that that would be, it's either a yes or no and then you sort of reapply. I think I would be completely open to a 6-foot fence. I understand it's less dramatic. 6 foot is actually cheaper for us because it comes in 6-foot boards. It would be a slight increase, so I wouldn't see, I could block a little bit more of that traffic noise. So maybe if I could reapply for 6 foot, I'd like to get it done this year. I'd like to get it done this year. So if it takes an incredibly long time to get a response to get a response. So ideally, yes.
Okay.
Long-winded.
Yep.
I would reapply for a 6-foot.
And how is our planning department feeling about that?
Microphone, please.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was still on. I'm wondering how our planning department is feeling about a conversation regarding the 6-foot.
It's really something have to be reviewed by the development officer at the time with an application, so I can't really give you an indication how we feel about that right now. It's not really something we can render a decision in the middle of a meeting, but.
I understand that, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah.
I have a question. I have, in one of the reply emails, it was mentioned that I could replace my 5-foot fence with another 5-foot fence and make the boards overlapping. Regardless of how council decides, is that still an option for me?
Yeah, that would absolutely be an option. You can replace, sorry, you can replace your existing fence with exactly the same height, and you could actually make it more, I'll say, soundproof.
By just doing the overlapping boards? Okay, thank you. That might also be my next step.
Thank you. Councillor Pryor.
After hearing Mrs. Jameson about the leaving her driveway, is there any way, regardless of what fence you put up, that it could be on a diagonal so she could see out of her driveway?
Yeah, I'm always open for discussion. I'm happy to have a conversation about that.
And why does your contractor have to go 3 feet onto her property?
Well, to be fair, that is not a discussion for this place. I can tell you, if you want to know, just for curiosity, right now their backyard is falling into my yard and their asphalt from the driveway falls into my garden, and I'm building a very nice retaining wall. In order for me to build that retaining wall, I need to dig into their property to build that retaining wall, which, FYI, I'm paying for the whole thing.
And are you replacing her driveway when you're finished?
Am I replacing her driveway when I'm finished? It was not my intention to replace her driveway when I was finished, no. It was my intention to pay for the whole entire retaining wall, though. That's of her property that's falling. Or I could do nothing. I could take down my fence and her shed could fall in my yard. We do not need to have this discussion here. This is about the bylaw for the fence, truthfully.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Grant, Mr. Grant, for being here, and lovely to see you again. It's been a little while. You were spot on with some of the, what is the topic of today? There are a lot of things that we could get into today that we probably don't need to. It is about the fence. And I can sympathize. I live on Prince Street. Now, my backyard doesn't face onto Prince Street, but my front yard and my porch that I spend time on face Prince Street, and it's loud. It's very loud. It's a very busy street. A lot of speeding there that we've been trying to get addressed, and so I can sympathize. However, I also think, what would that look like if I was walking down Prince Street downtown, walking in here, and nothing but 8-foot fences? It would feel like a prison. So I understand why the bylaw is in place. You want it to be a welcoming environment for pedestrians. And certainly, I think a number of us in this room stand tall enough to certainly look into your backyard as we're walking by. I, unfortunately, would be one of them. But I do think it would be wise to have a conversation with your neighbors about that visibility for safety. And this may be out of step, but I would also recommend maybe talking to Minister Ritzie about automobile regulation and the noise. You know, like this is something that really seems to be coming up a lot, is the noise of vehicles. I can sit in my backyard and I'll hear a vehicle. I don't know where it is. It's not anywhere close to me. It could be anywhere within a 5-kilometer radius, but I can hear it. You know, I can sit out on my front porch and I'm like, somebody's going down Queen Street. I can hear them. I shouldn't. That's maybe something for Minister Ritzie and the Motor Vehicle Act. But again, this is getting off topic of the fence. Again, we could probably sit here all day and talk about things related. But yeah, I apologize. Even though I can sympathize, I don't think I would be supporting the motion to grant the 8-foot fence. Thank you.
I just want to clarify that when we ask questions, we do it, there's no, in my opinion, unnecessary questions or silly questions here. We ask questions because we want the facts and we want to be concerned. So I just want to say that Councillor Pryor was asking because I know for a fact that she's gone by several times to check out that property because she is concerned and wanted to be fair to you and to everybody speaking here today. So there's no silly questions in this court. In this council chamber, it's a place of respect, and we ask questions because we care about everybody that comes here. Councillor Graham?
Through you, Mayor, to our Chief of Police. Do you have safety concerns? Is that something that you would consider a safety concern if it were an 8-foot fence right there in the way that, what was your last name? Jameson. In the way that the Jamesons described it?
I think it'd be difficult for me to say without actually seeing the property. I'm not disputing what the Jamesons are saying, but Yonge Street's a busy street, and yeah, anytime there's obstructions of view, it's a concern, but I don't have enough information to comment on that right now. I've never been there to try to pull out of the driveway, right?
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot?
Yeah, just my final comments. I mean, our bylaw now is 3 feet. We have this one grandfathered in at 5 feet, and we have a request to take it to 8 feet. And based on the security concerns that I heard, what we're trying to do with the bylaw, and I know it wasn't fleshed out a lot, but digging up a neighbor's property and not repairing it, I guess I can't support that type of initiative, so I will not be supporting the request.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any further questions for the grants today, or for our planning department, or for the Jamesons? Okay, so I'm going to do my ask again. Are there any further questions today for 4 Belgrave Terrace? This is my second ask. Are there any further questions today? My third and final ask. Any further questions for 4 Belgrave Terrace? The decision council will make today is the final decision and not subject to appeal. Hearing no further questions, I'm now going to call for a motion. And you know the motions that are going to be asked of you. To A, allow the appeal and permit the appellant, Melanie and Ian Grant, to construct the proposed 2.4 meter 8-foot fence along their property line, abutting the Yonge Street property right-of-way, or refuse the appeal and uphold the decision of the development officer to deny the variance. Council, I'm looking for a motion. Who is prepared to make that motion? Counselor McGrath? Okay. Counselor McGrath, what motion are you prepared to make?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to make the motion that council refuse the appeal and uphold the decision of the development officer to deny the variance.
I need a seconder. Seconder is made by Counselor Pryor. Now I can open it up for discussion. Is there discussion on this motion? Seeing no discussion on the motion. Oh, Counselor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think we probably discussed everything, but I wanted to just step back to something that Director Fox had mentioned. He had invited legal counsel to, make a statement whether or not there were other options available. Legal counsel did not take that opportunity, but I wanted to make sure that that opportunity was explicitly granted if there were other options on the table.
I don't think there are other options. I agree with the director that this is an appeal of either approving the variance that was requested or not. So I agree that if this variance, if council decides to refuse the appeal, then it's certainly open to the grants to apply for a new development permit with a variance of something, presumably something less than 8 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Council. Councilor McGrath has made the motion to refuse the appeal and uphold the decision of the development officer to deny the variance. All those in favor of supporting the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. The motion has been carried. I just want to say I thank you both families for coming here today, and I certainly hope that you will continue to be good neighbors. And I think I'm sure this can all be worked through. Okay? Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Council. Before we begin with our public meeting today, we have a presentation. I'd call Councillor Talbot to come forward. Councillor Talbot is the chair of the police board, and he's going to be making a presentation. Where's the microphone?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Oh, do we have the microphone here? There you go. I want you to be heard, Councillor. I'll get a picture after too, Wayne.
Yep. I'd like to call forward Chief McNeel. And for the record, Chief McNeel did not want this public acknowledgement, but I insisted on it. Anyway, as you may know or may not know, Chief McNeel has been with the force for 30 years. He's previously received his 30-year pin, but they did not send the lapel ribbon. So this is what I will be presenting today. Congratulating the Chief. 30 years of very good service.
Thank you, Councillor, and congratulations, Chief, on 30 years. A well-deserved round of applause you received, and thank you so much. We're now going to proceed to our public council meeting. This is a public council meeting for the town of Truro for Monday, September the 8th, 2025. We have a copy of our public agenda for today. Mr. Dolder, are there any changes, admissions, deletions to our agenda?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'd call for a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting of September 8th, 2025. Councillor Fleming, seconded by Councillor McGrath. Any discussion on this motion? Nothing? All in favor, please say aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you. Our next item is item 2A on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from July 7th. Seems like a million years ago. I'd now call for a motion to approve the minutes. Motion. Okay, Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Talbot. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of approving the July 7th, 2025 minutes, please signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, minutes are approved. Item 2B is the approval of the special council minutes from August 13th, 2025. I would call for a motion to approve the minutes. Councillor Fleming, seconded by Councillor Pryor. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of approving the August 13th, 2025 special council meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 3 is our petitions, delegations, and correspondence. Item 3A, request for support Nourishing Communities Food Coupon Program. Mr. Dolter, if you please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we received a letter from Minister Dave Ritchie with respect to the Nourishing Food Program that Council had written a letter on in support of. As Minister, and so he wrote to the Mayor, I'll just quickly read it. As Minister of the Department of Culture, Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage, the Premier has asked me to respond to your letter dated July 9th regarding nourishing communities. As CCTH provides funding for the farmers markets in Nova Scotia to run the program. The province has supported the Nourishing Communities program since 2019 and has provided annual funding of $422,400 throughout our current agreement. We provide an additional one-time grant of $250,000 in March 2024 as part of a significant cross-departmental investment in supporting food security. The core funding for the Nourishing Communities has increased since 2019 and has never at any point been reduced over the course of the current agreement. The province is currently the sole funder of the program, and I have encouraged FMNS to continue to support its efforts to diversify their funding sources to support sustainable growth of the program. I'm pleased to hear the program is making a positive difference in the town of Truro, and I respectfully encourage the town to consider opportunities to support sustainability and growth of the program at the local level. I appreciate your commitment to addressing food security and supporting local producers who are a vital part of Nova Scotia's economy. And that's signed by Dave Ritchie, Minister of Department of Culture, Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage.
Thank you very much for reading that. Any questions on the letter? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Absolutely, Deputy.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on it, just about the food bank and the service that it does. There's the food bank and then there's the farmer's market. And the reason I'm bringing up the food bank is because there's a great need out there for food, regarding food security. And so I'm concerned about food security. And so, though I understand the response and I'm not speaking against the response, I just want to heighten people's awareness that this month alone, during the month of August, there's 142 new visits to the food bank. So it just gives you an idea. 820 households visited the food bank. Over 1,900 individuals visited the food bank in 1 month. There's a real need. There's just it's a real concern about the level of insecurity when it comes to food and people trying to make ends meet. So I think we just want to make mention of that because it is an issue and it was something that we should all be very concerned about, both at the provincial level and also at the municipal level. So that's all.
Thank you very much, Deputy, and I couldn't agree with you more. Item number 4, under old business, item 4A, request for decision, the Central Nova Tourism Development Society, MOA and bylaw. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So at the May 5th, 2025 Public Council meeting, Council passed a motion to enter into a memorandum of understanding to confirm their mutual agreement with respect to the regional marketing collaboration and the formation of a regional tourism development society. This MOU was signed by all 4 parties: the municipality of Colchester, town of Truro, town of Stewiacke, and Millbrook First Nation. The next step is establishing the society is to formally incorporate the Central Nova Scotia Tourism Development Society under the Societies Act and to register its bylaws in accordance with that incorporation. A copy of the Memorandum of Association and bylaws for the Central Nova Scotia Tourism Development Society are attached for Council's review. The Memorandum of Association establishes the legal foundation of the Society under the Societies Act and outlines its purpose and operating principles. The bylaws provide the operational framework for society's governance, decision-making, and accountability. So, Madam Mayor, the proposed motion is, be it resolved that Council approve the Memorandum of Association and bylaws for the Central Nova Scotia Tourism Development Society as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. I'm looking for a mover, please. Councillor Fleming, seconded Councillor McGrath. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing, okay, Councillor Graham?
I'm asking this question on behalf of one of the members of the group of people who will be contributing to the fund. And their question was, who are the representatives and who was on the selection committee? And they would, where can they find some information, who's on the board and their contacts, and who is in good standing? Like, there were several questions that were presented that some of the members of the group are still left without clarity on. So where could they find answers to those questions?
So, Madam Mayor, if I could, there was a full press release that was provided in a post on social media that identified a lot of that information. If there are anyone with any questions, they certainly can contact Ms. Ellison Grant. Okay. And within my office, so they can just call Town Hall and they'll be directed to her, and I'm sure she can answer all their questions.
Okay. The one question that I'd like answered before I vote is who made the appointments and under what criteria were those appointments considered?
Sure.
Go ahead, Alison.
So the memorandum of understanding that was signed back in May developed an executive committee. So that was one council member from each of the 4 partnering municipalities. And that executive committee put out a call for applications for the future board of the society and made the selection from those applications.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor McGrath. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Note in the bylaws that the meetings are not public, which I think is, I'm learning is standard for some of these societies. Given that there are already council representation on the board, I assume there is no option for other councillors or elected officials from any of the 4 member regions to also attend these meetings if desired or needed?
That's correct. There's council appointments from each of the municipalities, and those council members will then form part of the board. There is some language, I believe it's in the Memorandum of Association, but I'd have to find it, about if that council member cannot attend or something, that each council could re-elect somebody. And I believe there's terms in there as well, but I'd have to find those details in the documents.
Okay, great. And then there was a question about the if one of the regional partners were to withdraw. So I'll use us as an example. If we were to happen to withdraw from that, that would only leave 3 folks. And it mentions, quorum about having 75%. How is that math going to work? Or is that going to be adjusted to 2/3? Just curious how, I don't foresee any of us withdrawing necessarily. I think it's an important step for the region. But the risk management and mitigation in me has to ask the question.
Sure. So there are provisions if one of the municipalities pull out and the requirements around that and what would happen. And then there are certain decisions that need to be approved by 3/4 of the members of the municipal or the executive committee. I'd defer to Charles on what happens if the partnering municipalities pull out, and then how are those decisions ratified, but.
Pardon me. I think that if one of the 4 parties were to withdraw, really that would be such a significant change that the remaining parties would have to go back and revisit and make amendments to these bylaws.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. A motion has been made by Councillor Fleming. It's been seconded by Councillor McGrath. I'm going to call for the question. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 4A under old business, or 4B, excuse me, is a briefing of Cumberland County and the Town of Truro Community Solar Garden Program. Mr. Dolter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So attached to the request for decision that I'm about to read, there's a briefing note that was provided to council some time ago. The latter part of that briefing is actually talking about events or an update since August 2025, and it was provided to council for their review prior to the meeting. Again, and it provided options that we're making a recommendation on today. And the options would be, I'll just read the highlights, would be obtain a new energy performance contract quote from another party, to seek a private partnership, to sell or transfer the project, or to pause the application. So those are the four choices that, or the four options that were laid out before council. And again, as I get into the RFD, certainly take questions, but I think, council's had a chance to review. I think it all makes good sense, Madam Mayor, so I'll just read through the request for decision. So the Town of Truro and the municipality of Cumberland are jointly exploring a 9.2 megawatt community solar garden in Spring Hill through the Nova Scotia Community Solar Program. The Power Purchase Agreement, or the PPA, application was submitted on April 2025 by the area group. Any significant concerns have since been raised, significant concerns have since been raised regarding the project cost, financial viability, and community engagement. And those were raised by the province through the application process. An independent review by East Point Engineering in July 2025 confirmed that the application contained critical gaps with capital and operating costs well above the provincial benchmarks. East Point concluded that without meaningful cost reductions, the project would not be financially viable under the current PPA rates. While an extension for resubmission has been granted, AREA has reconfirmed its cost estimates at levels significantly higher than the province's benchmarks, and municipalities remain unable to access federal investment tax credit available to private developers. After evaluating the four different options, which I just briefly read through, staff recommend pausing the application until the province completes its program review, allowing municipalities to reassess the project under potentially more favorable conditions. The full options analysis explored is attached in the briefing note, which was provided to council. So, Madam Mayor, the proposed motion is, be it resolved that council approve pausing the application to the Nova Scotia Community Solar Program.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. So you've heard the motion about pausing the application. So I need a mover. Councillor Fleming, Councillor McGrath, seconded. Discussion on this. Councillor Talbot.
Yes. Mike, at this point, do we know who the target audience for this power would be?
So if the project had gone to its completion, there would have been, they call them subscriptions, there are 1,200 subscriptions that would have been available. 600 of those would have gone to Truro. So our target for this would have been many of the people that are currently on our tax subsidy program, for example, with seniors and people that are at risk of energy poverty, for example, and council would have supported those applications. That was a target that we had focused on, and that was similar to what the county of Cumberland was also looking at doing.
And I guess that's precisely why I was interested in the project, because there are tough times, and if we have opportunities to help the less fortunate, I really feel we should be taking them. But delaying it until the province tightens up, I guess, is not a terrible decision.
Yeah, the one advantage we do, the advantage we have is we've done a lot of the engineering work now. We understand what our costs are. They have been reconfirmed by East Point. So we know for us to be eligible, some changes have to occur. And I think within the briefing note, it also indicated that of the PPAs that have approved so far, almost all of them have gone to private companies. The difference is they are able to apply for this investment tax credit that provides a significant advantage to them which municipalities cannot apply for.
Thank you, Mr. Dolder. Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor. Hello? No.
Cut me off. Okay, there we are. I agree with Councillor Talbot in regards to selling power to reduce rate to vulnerable and marginalized groups. However, there's another aspect of this project that I'm very much in favor of. Presently, about 3/4 of the revenue from the town comes from taxpayers, property taxpayers, about 30 million of our $40 million budget. And it's quite a burden for people at the property tax level. And so anything that we can do, and I truly believe this, that anything that we can do to generate revenue that is in a responsible way, such as producing power that's good for the environment, et cetera, and to reduce the burden, the tax burden on the people of town and give the kind of level of service and quality of service, and not only that, but have a town that has those kind of quality of services, I'm in favor of. So I'd like us, I don't want to let this go. I'm hoping that it'll come back and be successful, that it will make economic sense. But it does have to make economic sense. There can't be a large risk to this because we are a public entity. We have to make sure that it's not, the risk is not excessive. So I'm very much in favor of the motion that's being presented.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with my compatriots who've already spoken that we do need to be finding ways to help people. I mean, if we're not here to help people, then why are we even at this table, frankly? My concern is the focus on profitability of the project. Now, I understand that we don't want to take on inherent risk. We don't want to have something that's going to financially bankrupt the town. But I look around at any of the other services offered by the town on profit. I don't think we profit off anything. We get some money back on the operation of the rec. We get some money back on the operation of the pool. We get no money back on operation of roads, sidewalks, bridges, or sewer. Lots of our infrastructure doesn't generate revenue. So I'm concerned about the profitability, especially when it comes to solar, because solar is not as widespreadly, it's not adapted as widespread as it probably could be, largely because it's not as profitable. Not because it's not effective, not because it's not useful, but just because it's not profitable enough. So I have some concerns about when this becomes profitable enough for us to look into it, but I do think that if there is an opportunity for us to invest in such a project that will help the residents of this town, especially we have identified, sort of the tax assistance folks. These might be some of the folks that we talked about earlier who are accessing the food bank, and possibly for the first time, possibly because their power bills are so high. Now, that's a lot of possibilities, but I mean, this is sort of what we're here to do, talk about the possibilities in the future. So I do support pausing it, but as Deputy Mayor Thomas says, I do hope that we don't let this go. I do think this is something important that would be beneficial to residents of the town.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate all your comments. You've heard the motion proposed by our CAO. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 4C, request for decision, naturalized lawn care policy. Mr. Dalter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So at the request of council staff, have prepared a staff report outlining the proposed regulatory approach to permitting naturalized lawns within Truro. This report is preliminary and only is intended to provide council with some background information on the issue of naturalized lawns before moving forward with detailed amendments. So, Madam Mayor, be it resolved, the proposed motion is be it resolved that staff planning prepare the necessary bylaw amendments and or policy to implement the proposed naturalized lawn care approach as outlined in the related staff report dated June 5th, 2025. So again, so Madam Mayor, there is, the staff recommendation for this is that there is minimal interest in naturalized lawns in Truro, and staff do not believe regulating naturalized lawns is warranted. Given the affected difficulties related to interpreting and enforcing a naturalized lawn care bylaw, and given the potential for some property owners to use these bylaws to justify not maintaining their lawns, staff do not support the implementation of a bylaw regulated to naturalized lawn care. And the reason I read that is that we cannot make a negative motion not to do something. So again, I just need to make sure that that the recommendation was not missed by council.
So for clarification purposes, Mr. Dolter, if you want to support the recommendation made by planning, the council would they want to support the recommendation,
Would tell us not to continue with the work we're doing.
would say,
If council would like to move forward with naturalized lawn policy, they would approve it. But if they don't feel staff should go any further, then they would reject the motion.
Councillor Graham.
I just need some clarification. I do not think we should have natural lawns in our community. At this time, are natural lawns permitted? Like, I'm a little confused.
They're not currently permitted. So if you have weeds over a certain height, tall grass and weeds, then we will enforce the bylaw and require you to either mow it or we'll mow it for you.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm just going to make it even more clear here. So Councillor Graham has stated that she doesn't support natural lawns. So if she was voting that she does not support a natural lawn today, her vote would be
Against the proposed motion.
against the proposed motion. Okay. Okay. It's very convoluted, a little bit, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Does somebody have it in writing so I could read it again a few times?
It's in, you don't.
Motion?
Your package.
Sorry,
I don't have my iPad with me to,
Okay.
I'll look at it here. Thank you.
There's the motion.
Okay. Councillor McGrath.
No, Council Fleming.
Oh, Councillor Fleming was next.
Thank you.
Didn't see her on the-
Both of us can talk.
May I,
for it.
if I can jump ahead of
Yeah.
Councillor Fleming for one moment, we don't have a motion on the floor yet for all of the discussion that we are having about the motion. And I think that might
Yeah, you're-
assist with
yeah,
Councillor
sorry.
I
Graham.
didn't do that,
Yeah.
it's my fault. Okay, so I need a motion to have discussion, so I'm calling for a motion. Who would like to make that? Councillor Talbot, and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor? Okay, now with the discussion as we've been in a bit. Sorry about that. Okay, and now we're going to go to Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Hinton. Back to Mr. Fox. You mentioned, just for some clarity in regard to naturalized lawn, for me, what we're proposing is not for someone to grow their lawn longer than what's permitted right now. It's we see all kinds of them in town where they have large flowers and there's no grass on their lawn. That's what I'd like to see regulate. So if their neighbor complains, well, why are they allowed to have this lawn that we can say, no, it's because it's allowed under the bylaw. Not that, I think that's a little bit of a misnomer saying naturalized lawns, we're going to permit people to grow their lawns 3 feet high. That's not what we're asking for here. I'm not asking for it anyway.
If I may respond.
Yes.
Yeah, so essentially what's being proposed, and if it is outlined in the report provided, that what we would be looking at doing would be to define what was meant by tall grass and weeds. So basically define weeds, define turf grass, and say that those are not permitted to be grown above 20, I think it's 20 centimeters, 7.9 inches. That's as tall as you can have it. We would also look at defining other vegetation, so things that are like, that would be exempted. So if you have like ornamental shrubs, plants, cultivated like vegetables, things like that, those would be exempted from the bylaw. The issue that I have with this approach, though, is that there is a lot of room for sort of the bad players to take advantage of this and not mow their lawns. So it sounds like it's very clear cut, but we're going to be out there trying to determine at a staff level if it's tall grass and weeds or if it's a, I don't know, carrot. You know, it's a really difficult thing for us to try and enforce. We can do that if that's the direction council wants to go. It's not what staff would be recommending, but that's where we are today.
Okay. Councillor Fleming, again? Come on, there we go.
Yeah, thank you. So what about the ones now that are, I won't call them naturalized lawns, the ones that we have in place now? There's a few around, I know in our ward, we have 2 or 3 of them there that are beautiful front lawns, they have big tall flowers and stuff. What if the neighbor says, I don't want that?
Then
Get it out of there.
Then we would look at the complaint, we would enforce the complaint or enforce the bylaw if we get.
So
a
they'd have to
complaint.
cut all their flowers off?
Yes,
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's what I want to protect them from.
right. I mean, I guess it comes down to, we haven't had complaints about any of those properties.
No.
So,
Okay, yeah.
we've had some complaints about properties who have just let their lawn grow. That's where we get our complaints. It's not about the people who do a good job and maintain it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, there's not really a problem right now.
No, so I'm,
Yeah.
I got you. Thank you.
Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Director Fox, for the presentation and the work that's been done already. I wanted to address, and it does say in here, some residents' idea of a more natural approach is to simply stop mowing their grass. That is not what we want. When I brought this forward initially, that was not my intention, was to just let people grow their grass and just let it go wild. What I do see is the issue, and I noticed one of the addresses showed up again in the bylaw report that we'll get to later, I guess. It is somebody who's been complaining about before, who is trying to get native grasses and native plants. My intention, when I brought this forward, was to better define the bylaw. And I think what our motion actually reads is talking about creating a new bylaw. And I don't even know if we need to create a new bylaw so much as amend the existing one with the intention to make it clearer what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. You do call out here that the maximum length of the grass would be 20 centimeters or 7.9 inches. That's not in the existing bylaw. The existing bylaw says tall grass or weeds. Well, now what's tall? And it sounds, I know I've read bylaws in the past and like, oh, it's very draconian or bureaucratic to have it called out to a very specific centimeter or millimeter. But I realize how important that actually is, because tall is subjective. Am I tall? Is Councillor Fleming tall? It depends on who you're asking, perhaps. So I think it's important for us to make those clarifications, what is acceptable and what is not. And I honestly think that the work that staff have done here is fantastic in defining the plants that are not allowed. They're on the on the provincial banned list. I don't have it right in front of me, the name of the thing. The province says Agricultural Weed Control Act. Let's have that in the bylaw. That makes sense to me, to better define what is allowed, to make staff's job easier when they are enforcing the bylaws. And as called out here, the alignment with the town's community goals around an attractive community and being good stewards of the environment. We want it to be attractive, and again, that is not just letting your lawn go. And honestly, I think it's great with one exception, and that's just that it calls for a 1 foot wide strip of turf grass to be maintained between the naturalized area and the neighboring property or the right of way. I think that doesn't have to be turf grass. It could be some sort of ground cover. It could be something that's kept lower. I don't know, like thyme, sedum. I'm not a botanist. There's probably a bunch of others that we could get into, but something that doesn't also need to be mown. And again, absolutely do not let it encroach on the right of way. I'm primarily a pedestrian in this town. And yeah, there's a lot of places where vegetation is growing over the sidewalk. We don't want to block the sidewalks. We don't want to block the roads. And we don't want it to just go wild. So I think that the work done here has been good. It defines what is acceptable above and beyond what the existing bylaw does. And I would support staff moving forward with that. But I would have to ask the question, if staff does not support it, I need more clarification on why, because from my viewpoint, this better defines what is allowed, what is not allowed, and I think would make staff's job easier. So why is it that we do not support this?
We don't support it because there's no there's currently no issue. From an enforcement issue, I don't have a problem. We've had one issue in 20 years. So this is not an issue that I see as being something that warrants looking at in a bylaw, to be honest. That's kind of where I'm coming from. If there's a bunch of publicity around it, a bunch of people want to do it in the next 6 months, then I would like to come back and revisit the issue. But honestly, it's not an issue that warrants a bylaw.
Okay, I do see an increasing trend in this and people wanting this and wanting the biodiversity. And I think it would be very helpful to have the rules. You know, maybe this is something we come back to. Again, I really like the work that's been done here. I think it would be wise of us to better define the existing bylaws, but if staff don't see the need for it at this time, then yeah, then maybe this is something we revisit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I take staff's recommendation that the bylaw is sufficient at this time. I just want to speak to the fact that naturalized lawns, they're just not things that are let go. And it's a very intentional look, and with very intentional borders. People that do it right have got mowed lawns between these islands of diversity. And so there's a lot of work to it. And not only that, but when you get into those islands, you have to weed them continuously. This is a real undertaking to do this. And the couple of people that kind of do this in town, it's a lot of work. They're devoted gardeners, and they're doing well at it. This is not for your average homeowner, you know. So I'm not going to vote for this. The other factor is that once you get high growth, and I did work in agriculture, and I understand that when you get high growth, you get rodents. Rodents are going to move into these areas. You say, well, why would they move in? And you go online, and there's some people say, well, you don't get as many rodents, but then others do. Like in Cornwall, which they adopted this bylaw and had naturalized areas, they got an increase in rodents and also ticks. And the reason is that when you have humans living, you have garbage. And when you have garbage and you have places for rodents to nest, they will nest in these tall grasses, and you will have a rodent problem. And so we already actually in town, I don't know if people are aware of it, but there's a bit of a rodent problem anyways, depending on the year. Last year there was a lot of rodents. I've already seen some rodents this year as well, so I'm concerned about that. I don't think this is a good idea, so I will be voting against it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Councillor Graham?
Well, I just wanted to point out there are so few of them. We've never received a complaint. Our process does allow for individuals like the Grants who came before us today to dispute a decision by our bylaws officer. So those who are doing a good job will likely be able to continue doing a good job with support of our council if they do receive a complaint and are forced to. Anyway, our process works as it is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Pryor.
I just have to say that I agree with Councillor Thomas, and I support the bylaw as it is.
Okay. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, I don't think this is all about tall grasses either. I mean, there's a very beautiful one on Brunswick Street. They're all plants. But I think we're a little bit premature on this one. And I've been on council for 9 years. I've never seen a plebiscite, and I don't know if a plebiscite would fit this situation, but if I were moving on this, I'd like to get kind of a feel of how the public feels about this, as opposed to 7 wise men and women making the decision.
Thank you, Councillor. I do want to say that I've had a huge amount of calls about this, people not supporting naturalized lawns. And I do see a slippery slope here sometimes about properties that are not being well maintained. Councillor Fleming, I totally agree with you. I know the properties you're talking about, they're lovely. But I do see in some cases where the property may not be owned by a local resident, that there could be some real issues with saying, oh, this is a naturalized lawn, when it's not, when it's just a hot mess. So, you know, I've had a lot of calls, people not supporting a naturalized lawn. And there are people that do have very lovely ornamental grasses and things around, and they maintain them, and that's a lot of work, and they do a beautiful job of that. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just my final thoughts on this. I know you received a lot of calls for people not supporting it. I would question where those people are getting their information from, because we've only just received the report from staff and this has not been made published, so I don't know what it is that people are arguing against. I would also like to highlight that what I'm hearing from a lot of my councillors, your concerns, are addressed by these bylaw updates. For example, the tall grasses and rodents. Yeah, rodents can nest in tall grasses. And again, our existing bylaw says tall grass. It doesn't specify any, what tall is. And then that is left to our bylaw officers' discretion on what is considered tall. These amendments, and again, I would consider these amendments to the existing bylaw, would call out that said no more than 20 centimeters. It's very clear. It helps better address the concerns that I'm hearing around the table. So I'm very concerned why people don't support moving forward on something that makes the bylaws clearer on exactly what is acceptable and not acceptable. So I would ask my compatriots to perhaps rethink their stance before voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. CAO Dolter, do you think you should read the motion again?
I can certainly do that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
So, the proposed motion is be it resolved that that planning staff prepare the necessary bylaw amendments and/or policies to implement a proposed naturalized lawn care approach as outlined in the related staff report dated June 5th, 2025.
Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Contrary minded? Contrary minded gets the vote. Thank you very much. We're moving on. Item 4D under old business. The Number 2 Construction Battalion Athletic Facility and Ball Field update. A briefing. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So again, Council has in their package a briefing note that was provided to go through the details of what has been happening, Number 2 Construction Battalion, and as way of just a quick summary on those items. You'll see in the overhead in the slide provided is a financial breakdown of the project in total, and sometimes I can wear my glasses, sometimes I can't. So overall, the budget that we had set aside for the project, we're looking at a total cost of with revenue that had come in the tendered price, the budget, we were set at budget time, so when council reviewed it back in March, was $11.4 million. So actuals to date, we have spent 9.6, of additional 1.9 to be spent. So of that, at budget time, we were looking at the town picking up 2.7 million for the project. That number is now 2.6 million, which is, I guess, a positive. Overall, the tendered price for the project, when it came in was almost $11 million, and we've come close to that final. So the Number 2 Construction Battalion Athletic Facility, as far as the construction status to date, the field is nearly completed. There are a few items that are outstanding as overall deficiencies. As of Friday, the bathroom, the public washrooms have a I would call it a temporary occupancy permit, only because the final paper from the contractor needs to be submitted. Once we get to that point, then we should have access to the property. There is a deficiency list right now. We are actively working with the contractor to deal with the remaining work. We will get clarification on whether or not those deficiencies would prohibit use of what portions of the field have been completed. We feel that that won't be the case, and we should be able to get some activity on the site shortly. Again, inspection was done on Friday. They identified the washrooms are ready. There was an additional deficiency identified on Friday as well, so that's going to have to be addressed by the contractor. Expected completion, we're still expecting the site to be available by mid December or September. Sorry, September. Again, and when it does become available at that point, there will be still some outstanding work that will be being conducted. So again, we expect football and soccer field to be available, the running and track itself, and the walking trails that are outside the fenced area will also be accessible. The memorial area, we have the preliminary design work completed for that. We hope to start the construction work in early October. And again, reminding council, we have the official commemoration of that scheduled for November 8th. So again, we still hope to have the site ready for that memorial area to be completed. And then we are working as well on the sponsorship signage is being acquired and should be put in place over the next few months. The actual official opening of the field for the sponsors and that will actually be in the spring of 26, because by that time so this will be a soft opening, so we'll do the official opening of the full site in the spring of 26, because the grass areas that are currently growing should be better grown in, and the full use of the field will be available. The one thing that I will say about one of the deficiencies we have right now is that we're waiting for some adjustments to the field lighting, so the field lighting does not currently function, and that's one of the things that should be cleared up in the next week or two once a piece of equipment has been received. The new Argus Drive ball field, the construction site is now substantively complete. Again, we're just waiting for the paperwork to be signed. As far as remaining work, there's minor deficiencies, again with the field lighting contractor, which are being sorted out. Maintenance, the general contractor is responsible for maintenance of the grass areas for the next year, and they'll be supplemented by Parks and Rec and Culture staff in order to ensure the field is ready for baseball. The scoreboard structure, columns, and the electrical work is still pending for that. So again, that's work that still remains to be done, but the field itself is ready to go. The ponds, the infill project, the design work's completed. Again, we are obtaining pricing on that. We hope to have that pricing by mid-December for the changes we have to make to the pond areas, which have become an issue. So again, I'll entertain any questions the council may have with the briefing note that was presented, as well as the information I just presented.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dolder. Councillor Graham, you're up first.
I think it's important that we are mindful that our initial contribution or agreed contribution along with the county to these projects was just $350,000. And while I am aware that all along council has made decisions to increase that budget with because of change orders and whatnot, we are now at a position that we're at 2.6 million with potentially, I've heard figures of 750,000 or more to fill in the ball field ponds that exist. So at the end of the day, we're going to be probably over 3 million over budget on those two projects. There's a third project that since I've become a member of council, and it's the Legion Stadium, which in a confidential note we've received from our CAO, that project too is going to require further investment from our taxpayers, really. I'd like to suggest that it's come to the time that I feel strongly that we need to have a project management audit done on these three capital projects that have been taken on by the town, so that we do have a clear picture on what has happened to, what has really happened to put us in this financial predicament that we are in. We need to look in the rearview mirror to see what lessons can be learned and how we can do a better job moving forward. So I don't know if today is the time for us to make that decision or have that discussion, but I really do feel a project management audit is required so that we can move forward in a more successful way.
Thank you, Councillor.
So, Madam Mayor, I just, particularly with the TAC grounds itself, I do take exception to the characterization of the $3 million over budget. When the tenders came forward, council agreed that council would take on whatever the deficiency would be. And at the time, we did say, there was certainly, I think it was quite well understood at the time that the $350,000 that we originally had budgeted would not be the final number. So the project has exceeded the original budget amounts, but in each case, the amount that the 2.6 million also, as the slide indicates, there's 760,000, which also includes the original 350,000 that was approved. There is also other amounts that have been approved along the way, which include the movement of the ball field fence that was required, sods that were put in order to ensure that the field was ready for use this year. And then there was other inflationary. I would not put down the additional costs for the ball field or the number 2 construction battalion field as any errors in project management, because to be honest, Madam Mayor, we can give you a list of where those cost overrides are. There's no mysteries there. A project management review would be looking for errors or omissions or things that had gone wrong. All of the cost increases related to this project are well documented, and in fact, I think in several cases, council has seen a breakdown on where those costs have been. So again, it would be up to council whether or not they want to incur the audit. As far as the stadium goes, that was a very complicated issue in the fact that it was direct result of a natural disaster with Fiona. It wasn't a project, it was an insurance restoration. And there were decisions made along the way that created the additional costs unrelated to the insurance claim itself. The briefing note that the councillors referred to gave a detailed outline of what those costs were. And again, we know, in many cases, what those were. Now, I would be prepared, and again, council can do a project management audit, and I'd have to defer to Mr. Browning on exactly what that is, because again, the complexity of going through a 2-year project like this, I would argue it's probably a couple $100,000 cost to do that. And I don't think council would be well served by doing that. However, I do feel that we will, I feel it's probably necessary, if any of the feelings of Councillor Graham are shared by the rest of council, we can do an overview, particularly of the stadium project, and go through and we can talk about that with council so they can understand where things are with that and and the process through that. But again, it was a fairly unique situation, which there was many lessons learned by staff going through that. And again, those are items that I believe in some cases were outlined in the briefing note, which is not a public document. But again, we can have that discussion with council, and we can decide what the right forum to have that discussion is. Mr. Browning, did you have anything to add?
To Councillor Graham, whatever through Mayor Hinton. One of my professional designations is a project management professional, and actually I've never heard of a project management audit before. But I think what you're referring to is something that we actually are undertaking as staff when we are going through specifically in greater detail the stadium. But once the ball field and attack grounds project, or number 2 construction battalion athletic facility project, is complete, our plan is to go and kick it into a higher gear as far as a review how we got from point A to point B. And I think your terminology of a lessons learned is bang on. That's what we are looking to do, and actually it's in progress right now. And it's essentially, what I will say is that, I mean, these projects started before my time and Ms. Russell's time started here with the town. But these were massive projects, and massive projects for the town of Truro, undertaking seemingly all at once. So it was a large undertaking for the town, and something that the town hasn't undertaken or done at once, that volume of work in, decades. And so with that being said, I mean, it was a daunting task or whatever of resources at the time, setting down the path to go and execute. Even daunting a task or whatever of new resources coming on board to pick up and see these things through. We're getting out the other side right now, though. And I think, as I said, or whatever, as staff, we're looking at this right now as it stands with specifically more in detail with the stadium, but we will be in detail with the attack grounds and ball field as well for a lessons learned type of thing, so that when the time comes for the next one or the next ones, we've learned from any mistakes that have been made with this, so that we can execute and continue to develop how we go and execute these projects even better as the next one comes along and the next one comes along, and even our regular capital projects annually. So
Yeah, and one of the things as well we're going to be looking at, and I had a conversation earlier with Councillor Talbot, we'll also look at our contracting as well too, to look at where in some cases we need to tighten up on some of our contract language in order to ensure that we can, impose deadlines and impose other requirements of the contract, and transparency, particularly with the TAC contract. There was no penalty for late delivery of the project. And again, those are things that we can explore in the future. But again, when there are penalty clauses like that, it does affect your pricing as well too. So, as long as we understand what the risks are in imposing certain terms within contracts, we can look at those options. But again, from our perspective, as Mr. Browning's indicated, we're reviewing the projects now, and I agree that it would be, I think it's good for council to understand where we are as well too, and again, how we structure the project management going forward, and the oversight that we need to do on this. I don't feel, particularly with the number 2 construction battalion, there was any major mistakes there. But, obviously one of the issues is that, we are mid-September, and, in reality, this was supposed to be delivered in 2024. So that's a concern, but I mean, again, there's been some extenuating circumstances there that caused that. But again, those are one of the things that we, in hindsight, this year in the end of May is when we wanted it delivered. And again, unfortunately, we're not there at this point, and we'll look at ways to ensure we can enforce some of those deadlines going into the future.
And just before moving forward, just to build off of what Mr. Dolters was saying with the construction administration of some of these contracts, one of the things recently that we've been implemented in what's currently on the books now for our capital projects this year is what's referred to as a liquidated damages clause, which speaks to what Mr. Dolter was saying as far as a means to enforce a deadline. So that clause exists within a majority of our current capital projects that you're going to see going on, Cobequid Drive or paving or milling, even the pump track or whatever up in the rail yard. So something that recently was just implemented or whatever under new contracts as a means to again, try to make things better. And so moving forward, that's that kind of thing that we're going to be looking at closer to see what we can implement just to go and tighten things up a little bit more moving forward to make things better.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Browning. Councillor Talbot.
Yes, I had just a couple of things I needed for clarification to help me with my communicating with my residents. The ball field, or the football field. It's named the Bertaco Field, and all the people in my vintage know that he was a baseball guy, so I'm getting the question, why is it called the Bertaco Field? And I'm assuming he purchased the naming rights, and that's why it's called that. Is that correct?
That is correct. So when you look at the total that we've, the total of $2.6 million that we raised, so the sponsorship of the naming rights for the field were sold as part of that fundraising.
Okay, and the other question was, in the complex will be called the number 2 construction facility, and the field will be called the Bertaco Field.
Correct, and there'll be, and another example is there'll be along the Prince Street backside of the track, there will be a sign that says the Wilson's Track, right? So the components of the facility itself have naming rights, no different than really the rec.
Yeah, exactly.
So the rec, the stadium or the ice arena's got a sponsorship on it. The pool has a sponsorship on it, but the full facility is called the Rath Eastling Center. So again, similar to the number 2 construction battalion athletic facility, the different components have names on them, but the facility is the number 2 construction battalion athletic facility.
Okay. And my last one was kind of a simple one. The people are saying, we built that at quite a cost. What do we have in place to protect our investment? Like, will the facility be open tonight? Can people get in there and ride bikes on the track and things like that?
No, I mean, obviously, if ever anybody's visited the site right now, both sites are gated, and there are fences around the actual field itself. So, Ms. Sims will be publishing the opening hours of the field. It will be locked at night. It will be accessible. The track itself on the walking track will be accessible. It doesn't go all the way around right now. That's another phase. But people can walk on that area, but you won't be able to access the track itself. During the day, when it's not booked for other uses and we have somebody on the site, people will be able to run on the track and utilize the field when it's supervised. Obviously, there are a set of rules which I've seen, which will be published, that say what you can and cannot do on the field and how that has to be. So obviously it is a major asset, and we're already talking to minor football on they have to walk. We're going to put matting down across the track, so when they come on with their cleats, they can't walk on the track. Again, there's all easily damaged, and also obviously the fence is there, and if you've been on the site, it's elevated as well too. I don't. A car, vehicle, or that could not. It'd be very difficult to get on the field, and that was done deliberately. And there is a heavy fencing area in order to prevent people from misusing the field. Now, it's we will be monitoring, and we have cameras and everything in place to monitor activity on the field. We'll do our best to protect the field.
Thank you, Councillor. And Mr. Dolter, the sponsored signage, when are you expecting that to go up? We talked about.
We have some of it. We actually have to do a comprehensive plan on where everything is going. We do have a lot of sponsors to raise that amount of money. Obviously, it takes a lot of people involved. So we're actually Ms. Renault is actually putting together the signage and going through that. So those will be going up in the next, I'm going to say a couple months as we receive them all. Some of them are on order, some of them have been received. So again, when we do the official opening in the spring with all the sponsors there, all the signage should be in place. So
there's a fair amount of them.
I'll guarantee it for the spring, because again, I can't guarantee when some of them are going to be arrived. Some of them are on order. And I'll give you an example. Some of the sponsors made time payments. We're not ordering a sign until we get the final payment on their 3-year installment, and some of those are going to be coming in the final year. So once we get that final payment, we'll order their particular sign.
As it should be. Good. Now we're going to go on to Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Two quick things, or one quick thing anyway. just around sort of the management of the projects. I don't have my PMP designation as Mr. Browning does, but I do make my living from project management, and I can speak to the fact that yes, you know, the lessons learned and things, those are important meetings to have. Those are important documents to maintain, and I'm very glad to hear that that's being put into place, that this is being done. And this is a weird thing to say maybe, but it doesn't matter how good it is, there is always room for improvement. I don't think that perfection is actually attainable, but we always strive for it because we always see room for improvement. Where can we do better? And that's no shade against any of the predecessors, not Mr. McKinnon, not anybody before him. There is always room for improvement, so I'm really glad to hear that we are moving forward with that.
So, Madam Mayor, if I could, I mean, to Councillor Graham's point, we are self-auditing at this point. We will present, you know, we're going to present something to council to go through the two projects. The stadium project was a unique one in the fact that I think it's probably the largest insurance claim we've ever gone through. And I think above all, the other you know, certainly the TAC grounds itself was a complex project, but it was similar to things that we've done in the past. The stadium is probably had a lot of lessons coming to it, and that's one of the ones that I think we, you know, our approach would have been, I can say, would probably be significantly different if we had that if we ever had to do it again, and I hope we never get to the opportunity. So then that's the problem, again, dealing with insurance. If anybody's done that for their own personal claims is difficult, and for a major loss like this was very complicated. So again, it's something that we're going to document because again, we don't want to repeat some of the things that could have been done better. And you know, so I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm saying from my perspective, I think everything that could have been done with what we had at the time was done. So.
Yeah, I guess in short, we set egos aside, we do the best that we can, and we try to do better once we know better as we learn from these lessons. I wanted my second point, which may not be as quick. Do we know the operating hours? You mentioned that this facility will be open during sort of, I guess, staff hours. I'm assuming that's going to be like 8 to 4 or 7:30 to 4:30, something like that.
Yeah, so during the summer and early fall, we have staff there from 7 to 3. And then I'm going to work with the user groups to have staff there in the evening. So that's to be announced at this point.
Okay, because it's that staff in the evening part that is of concern to me, because especially I'm in some of the running groups around town. We work. Right, we work. If we are expected to only be able to access the track from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., then it's not a public track. We don't have access to it because it's during our working hours. So I really want to emphasize the fact that if it's a true public facility, it needs to be accessible to the public, which means evenings after work, you know, as well as, and you know, obviously outside of the user groups who are booking it for, you know, the Truro Lions, any of the football clubs, et cetera. But it really needs to be available to the public to make use of this. Sorry, what was it? $11.6 million facility. It seems like a waste of a facility if we can't actually get at it.
Agreed.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My comments have to do with the fact that when I first came onto council, and I don't remember the time, but it was about a year into council, I believe, my first term, this project came up, and it started off at $350,000. It wasn't long before it was $800,000 or so, if my memory serves me right. And back then, the county was $350,000 as well, and plus the province, the federal government was putting a good chunk of change in. They were at 3.2 million, and the province is at 2.6 million. And essentially, we were paying 10% of the project. So it was a no-brainer for me. Put down $1 and get $10 worth of value. I mean, you want to do that all day long. But now it's come down to 25%. So you put $250 down to get $10. And so it's not as attractive. And so I'm a little disappointed in that. I'm a little wiser just because I'm more experienced now in municipal dealings. And so that's good. But my question is around, you know, the town took all the changes that occurred and the inflation that occurred, through COVID and costing, et cetera, just went through the roof for construction, et cetera. And the town absorbed this all. Our federal, provincial, and county partners, they escaped all this. And I just want to know, how do you do that? How do you escape that kind of responsibility when you sign on to a project? If I could have a little clarity, please.
So with particularly the feds and the province, I think if you look at their grant language, it says this is it. We don't cover inflation. So that's the risk you take on with well, it's not a risk, it's just the reality of federal provincial funding. It's not inflationary. So whatever they grant is is the final amount, because they do it on original estimate, and that's their percentage that they provided. Again, this project was brought forward with obviously a significant amount of sponsorship money from the public, which in fact we got.
Yeah.
So which was significant.
Tremendous.
As far as the county itself goes, I know that they were approached for additional money. I'm not aware of any answer being given back on that. So I can only assume that request for additional funds, which I think was to bring it up at least to the $860,000 that the town had originally committed to. We have not, or the sponsorship chair who approached the county did not get a response, as far as I'm aware, from that request.
Mr. Dolter, it's my understanding that the county participates at about a 70% level in the recreation facilities of the town.
Yeah, that's
and
a stat
so I see them, we're at 2.6 and they're at 350,000. I don't see how that equates in my thinking. So I'd just like to maybe send them another letter, show them what this sort of thing costs, and if they want to participate and be partners, which I'm sure they do, then perhaps they should take a look at that and perhaps at least come up to that $800,000 commitment. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor Pryor.
Mr. Dolter, moving forward, will we be putting policies in place?
Not to any extent. I mean, really, this is not something that can be covered by policy itself. It's project management practices. So back to what Mr. Browning said, I think we're going to put together some best practices, or or kind of an internal document. So I'll take a step back. Yes, a policy or a procedure document for staff will probably be put in place on, here's all the things that we got to make sure we cover in going into something like this. And again, lessons learned, because again, it's no good going through something if you don't learn from it. So we will put something together that staff can refer to in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Our final question on the briefing is coming from Councillor Graham.
I was wondering if I could get clarity on the walking track. I'm wondering the intent of the walking track, when it will be available to our residents to access. It was my impression that it would be accessible 24 hours a day for people. Am I correct in that assumption? Where are we at now? Where are we headed?
Are you referencing the crusher dust?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So that will be accessible at any time. Obviously, if there's a major event, during a track and field event, there could be 1,000 people there, so I don't think that'd be the most enjoyable place to be for walking purposes. But that is outside the fence area. Obviously, it won't be lit, so our recommendation is always dawn to dusk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are we at currently with and where are we headed? Because I understand there's an issue with fencing at this time.
So there's approximately 250 meters of walking of a crusher dust path that would be usable right now when the facility is not in full use.
Okay.
And then as more funding comes in, we can keep fencing in the artificial turf and track, and there'd be more access to the rest of the crusher dust path.
So I guess we're looking at more money.
Yeah. Yeah, because just to be clear too, the crusher dust path was not part of the original plan. Something we added after that. So again, it would be subject to additional funding.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you very much. We're moving on to item, oh yes.
Just Second, now
Yes.
I gotta step back. I was gonna say something. Okay, no, okay, I'll have to come back to it. I forgot
Okay, all
what I was
right,
gonna say.
okay.
We'll have a follow-up there. When do we expect completion of the crusher dust walking track?
That depends on the capital plan. So obviously, we'll get it costed, and we'll include it as far as our capital planning goes. And then we'll have to figure out where we go with that from there.
So it will have to come at budget time again?
Yeah, it will come with budget. Obviously, we don't have anything for a budget currently.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Agenda item 5, in-camera summer report, Mr. Dolter.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So in camera, we had an in-camera meeting on August 3rd. There were three items discussed at that time. 2 of them were human resource related matters. The third was a contractual matter, and there is no need for council to meet today in camera.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to our committee reports. After each report, council will have the option to ask questions, and then we'll ask for an approval after all the reports have been made. And our first report is from our CAO, Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the first item I have is discussion on the police review with the Minister of Justice. So the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and I had the opportunity to meet with the Minister of Justice and several of our officials on August 12th to discuss the recent release of the Provincial Police Services Review. We have numerous concerns of the implementation for the Truro Police Service and other municipal departments in Nova Scotia. The Minister indicated that there would be fundamental changes to how policing services were being delivered and the requirement for us to establish agreements with the RCMP for specialized services. We indicated the current legislation allows the town to determine where and how we obtain these services. That could be from the RCMP, but it also could be through agreements with other agencies within the province. We feel that this model should not change, and that point was expressed to the minister, and the chief has actually provided to the minister all of the MOUs that we currently have in place. And again, we strongly are looking for those to be supported. We indicated as well that we felt that the level of service provided by the Truro Police Service could not be matched by the RCMP. We provided statistics that outline the frequency that the Truro Police Service provided support to the RCMP, while their support to TPS is very limited, and the chief provided statistics as well to the minister on that. The meeting left us feeling that the province has a great deal of work to do before moving forward, and we will continue to advocate for a model that maintains or improves the level of policing in Truro and through the Truro Police Service. One of the biggest concerns, I think, Madam Mayor, you'd agree, is that the cost of the services and what the province is proposing, they really don't have any figures to provide, which is concerning. So again, this is evolving, and again, it'll be interesting to see where this finally lies, because I know that through meetings through the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, other municipalities equally have strong concerns about where this is going to be going, and the tact that the province is committed to. So again, obviously a lot more to follow on this issue. The CUPE collective agreement. During a special meeting of council on August 13th, council ratified the Canadian Union of Public Employees collective agreement, which covers a 4-year term from the 1st of May 2025 to the 30th of April 2029. Agreement with CUPE marks the final agreement to be negotiated for the town's 3 unions in this current negotiating cycle. They all seem to come due at the same time. We'd like to thank everyone for the work in bringing these negotiations to a successful conclusion. So again, we did come to an agreement fairly quickly. Argus Drive ball field. I guess with my previous discussion probably covered off some of this, but I will say that during a special council meeting, council directed staff to secure 3 bids for the contractors to move a plan forward to fill in the ponds at the Argus Drive ball field. The ponds were not meant to continuously hold water and therefore are detracting from the use of the facility and present a safety concern for users of the field. So again, as soon as we get those bids, we will be moving forward with a plan once we come back to council. Fire service review consultation. On July 24th, I attended a consultation session for the fire service review as the province looks at the provision of fire services throughout Nova Scotia. One of the major concerns I expressed was about our standard of training for fire services and the inability to effectively train firefighters within the province to an established standard. The diversity of equipment is also an issue as it affects the ability to provide mutual support and to properly control fire scenes. We were encouraged by the recent announcement of the province of its defunding the Nova Scotia Fire School, as it was not providing adequate training to ensure that fire services were working from a common standard as well as working in a safe environment. Again, the incident and the death of Skylar Blackie is still very fresh in our minds, and we feel that this was an important step for the province to take, and one that I know the family's been lobbying for years, as well as the Truro Fire Service. So a public statement was issued in August by Mayor Hinton in support of the province's decision. We hope that the review will provide a model and a way forward to affect real change, unlike reports of the past that have not been actioned. So again, I know that there have been some recommendations. I believe a report's going to be coming forward in the next little while. So again, we do look forward to seeing what that's going to do for us. Truro Farmers Market Advisory Committee. On August 21st, we had our first meeting of the Truro Farmers Market Advisory Committee since the municipal election and before then as well, before then. Town staff and council committee members look forward to working with representatives from the market to make improvements and to ensure the market continues to be a cornerstone of community vibrancy and well-being. We have invited a market representative to sit on the committee for the Recover Initiative as we look at the market building and how it can better serve the community. So we think that was important for them to actually be involved with that initiative. The Atlantic Mayors Congress, an RFD will be coming to council later in the agenda, but I met with the CAO of the County of Colchester and the organizer for the Atlantic Mayors Congress. The town and county are hoping to host the event in December. We have started some preliminary planning and are looking at finalizing dates and the agenda for the month, subject to council's approval. The event brings mayors from Atlantic Canada to Truro to discuss issues impacting the Atlantic municipalities. So, Director of Public Works. So the town staff bid farewell at the beginning of August to our longest serving member of senior staff, and that would have been Andrew McKinnon. And Andrew was a dedicated and valued member of our team, and his presence around the senior staff table will certainly be missed. Certainly, Andrew was always, can always relied upon to know anybody that walked into town hall. He had a long and really historic career with the town, and again, we wish him well in his retirement. In saying that, we'd like to welcome officially to his first public meeting our new Director of Public Works, Oliver Browning. So Oliver has been with the town since 2023 as our senior engineer, so he's not a newbie. He knows the ropes and knows the town very well, and in fact did some consulting work in his previous life for us along the way. So we're certainly looking forward to working with him in his new position. He brings extensive experience in engineering and project management, both in the private and municipal sectors. So again, welcome officially, Oliver, to senior staff. So, Madam Mayor, just looking at some of the strategic initiatives and communications issues as well. So, equity and anti-racism strategy. Staff are currently completing the final edits to the draft plan to present to council later in September, and the final report will be included in the October council package for approval. So again, we look forward to getting that. As the number 2 construction battalion commemoration, the unveiling of the memorial and the renaming ceremony and the commemoration event is anticipated to take place following the completion of the revitalization project, which again should be soon. The events was originally planned for August 1st, but has been postponed and rescheduled to November 8th, 2025 to ensure the site's ready. Construction work on the memorial area is expected to start in early October through engineering and public works. Parks and Recreation staff are leading the organization of the day's events. So again, we will have invites and going out shortly, and we're working as well with the Black History Center as well to make sure that this becomes a major community event. And again, we're looking forward to making the official renaming a reality. The urban deer management. In August, staff submitted a proposal to Nova Scotia Department of Natural Resources to request approval to pilot a new urban hunting site in Truro. If approved for the upcoming fall 2025 hunt, this new site would be a more urban approach added to the overall controlled managed hunt. At present, we are awaiting a response from DNRR. At request of the municipality of Colchester, the town has submitted a proposal to the County of Colchester to expand the control managed hunt to a more urban area in the County of Colchester to administer a similar hunt program for the county. At present, we're awaiting response from the council on that proposal. So again, this was put forward, and we can do it within our current team as long as the county is prepared to pay the cost that was identified. Fleet electrification study is outlined as a recommended action in the town's community energy plan and community energy emissions plan. The town is undertaking a fleet electrification study on its light and medium duty fleet to determine the feasibility of converting some of the town's municipally owned vehicles to from gas powered to electric vehicles. Phase 1 of the study is fully funded through the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service, CRIS program. A draft report was circulated to staff in mid-August for feedback, and we're currently awaiting the final report. The Recover Initiative, again, we just alluded to Farmers Market member being involved with this. So the town continues to collaborate with the Recover Initiative through its Build Transformation Program to investigate a deep energy retrofit for the market hall on Yonge Street, which houses the Truro Farmers Market. This program will provide the town with a comprehensive assessment of the building, outline potential efficiency upgrades, and retrofits to consider. Town staff met with Recover and the Truro Farmers Market in mid-August to begin the project. This project is expected to take place through the fall and can be completed in February 26. Some of the communications project we're working on, I think this is an interesting initiative, is the Truro 150 Heritage Walking Tours. So as part of the Truro's 150 anniversary celebrations, Truro staff partnered with the Colchester Historium to offer 2 guided walking tours that will be delivered in 6 separate occasions throughout September. The tours are designed to showcase Truro's rich history and heritage. One tour focuses on the downtown core, highlighting notable architectural and influential historical figures. The second, titled Tales Tombstones Tell, I should say that properly, takes place on the Roby Street Cemetery and shares the history of Truro's early settlers and significant historical events. So too bad it wasn't towards Halloween, but it would be a good, should be a good tour for everyone so they can really learn more about the people that make up the history and past of Truro. The neighborhood notification for Cobequid Drive construction project, wanted to make council aware of that. So in preparation for the Cobequid Drive recapitalization project, town staff developed and distributed a neighborhood notification to inform affected residents. The notice was delivered in late August to households on the Cobequid Drive, Heritage Place, Clifton Court, Fundy Drive, and Harris Avenue. Again, we feel it's very important for a major project like that to contact the residents affected directly. So again, there's additional social media communications projects that are listed there for council. I won't go through there, as well as the funding program overview. And as council note, we have 3 pending right now, which is the community wellness, through the Community Wellness Fund, the High-Risk Youth Support Team, and the Nova Scotia Environment Low Carbon Communities Project, which, again, are identified for council's information. So, Madam Mayor, that is my report, respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much, very detailed. Any questions on Mr. Dolter's report? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Dolter, for that report. And great to see the Farmers Market Advisory Committee restarted. I did want to ask one question about the Recover Initiative, because I believe your report says a deep energy retrofit, but maybe I'm mistaken. I believe when they presented to us, they explicitly said that it was not an energy retrofit, but a deep retrofit, including energy and multiple others. Am I misremembering?
No, you're correct. The word energy should have come out of there. So it is a deep retrofit with the potential for energy benefits.
Perfect, thank you. And then it's not in the report, but I just want to follow up on our library pigeons. We were looking at the last I heard, the Optica gel deterrents, and trying to figure out if they had any impact to the chimney swifts at the library. Do we have an answer on that yet?
I do not have an answer. The procurement officer is still working on that with DNRR, and I know Mr. McKinnon, before he left, was also having the discussions. I don't think we have a final answer on that, but as soon as I do have that, I'll send a notification to council.
Perfect. And my last question for you right now is just around public transit. You sort of skipped over that. We are expecting the report to be finalized in the fall. Given that this is September, can I assume that that also means October?
I will turn to Ms. Grant for a final.
There's been some, I'd say, significant delays in getting the report finalized. So there is a second round of public engagement that will likely take place in October. But they still have to finalize governance models, costing, and then that second round of public engagement to determine routing options and a design option. So we are hopeful to have it by the end of the year. I think that's a timeline that can be reached at this point if we don't run into any other delays.
Yeah, and some of the consultation with senior staff and some of the other staff, we did provide some input and asked them to go back to look at some of the assumptions that they had made and provide us with a little bit more detail on what they were looking at. So I think that's part of the issue as well too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Yes, Mr. Dolter, I was just wondering about this Nova Scotia Firefighters School closure and our statement issued August 7th that we provide support to the province in its decision to end its relationship with the Nova Scotia Firefighters School. Can you just put a little meat on those bones?
So basically, again, I think it was a clear public statement made by the province. Essentially, from our perspective in dealing through Chief Curry, we've had extensive discussions on the condition of the fire school and the corrections that have been made, and there was clear indication that from our perspective, and I think was supported by the value for money audit that the province did, is that the fire school had not committed to meeting a standard that was acceptable to the province and to provide a level of service and training that would be required by provincial fire services moving forward. And again, the mayor indicated that, given the situation that the Truro Fire Service has gone through with firefighter Blackie, we clearly felt that the training system had to be either fully revamped or they had to look for an alternative. And I think that's what the province has chosen to do is to look for an alternative to the school itself, how it's funded, how it's administered, and looking for something that would be more effective. Now, obviously, what we're waiting or we need some clarity on is what the interim measures are going to be, because it does leave a gap overall. I don't know if Chief Curry can provide any more detail on that or if there's any more information available.
No, I think you just about covered it, but there is some things on the interim that we are doing. The school was the only place that we could become certified level 1 and level 2 firefighters. So we're still able to maintain the training up to the time that we come and get certified. And yes, the province is by fall supposed to have some alternative for us in order to get our certifications if we want to carry on with our training.
Right, but it's my understanding you do a lot of in-house training that keeps your staff well trained and versed on any new, techniques or whatever?
Yes, we do daily training with our staff, and we do weekly training with our volunteers, and we are also part of the Colchester Association, which has training that we do to bring us up to the level 1 certification, which we also participate there too.
So the town's still safe?
The town is still safe. Again, to be clear, all of our volunteers receiving necessary training, and we have the advantage of having professional firefighters as well that the standards, and and a good comprehensive training plan that we're going to fulfill. And again, we have brought in third-party providers as well too for training when necessary. So yes, again, our staff are ready to respond to fires on a professional and very, very quick response, which I think makes us unique outside of HRM and probably CBRM. Our people are ready to be on scene within under 5 minutes in a lot of cases, depending on the distance, and can start dealing with the situation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy. And dedicated firefighter Blackie Skylar Blackie will never be forgotten, for sure. We're now moving on to our corporate services report. So Director Russell, if you would give us your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The attached financial statements provide an overview of the financial position of the town of Truro operations up to the end of July 2025. Total revenue to the end of July of $17.9 million, or 45% of annual budget. Property taxes were billed in April and is at 50% of budget, as would be expected. Other grants in lieu of taxes is at 105% of budget. These are billed once a year and are not expected to change. The HST offset grant was higher than was expected in budget. For other revenue, interest earned is at 51.2% due to timing and due to the budget being conservative. Miscellaneous revenue is at $65,756 compared to a budget of $5,500 due to receiving insurance payments for losses incurred in previous years. For expenses, total expenses to the end of July is $12 million, or 30.1% of the annual budget, in line with last year and overall expectations. A few items are noted below related to budgeted items that occur earlier in the year, resulting in a higher percentage of year-to-date spend than might be expected. Under general administration, professional development is at $12,459, or 44% of budget, primarily to the AMANS conference and CAMA conference attendance. Grants of $249,000 were paid year-to-date, which equates to 49.7% of budget. Professional fees are at 50.6% of budget, driven by the timing of the annual insurance renewals, the quarterly payments of PVSC assessment services, and consulting fees incurred to date. Under police services, professional development is at 62.7% of budget, primarily due to the purchase of ammunition for annual firearms training and qualifications. For engineering and public works, professional development is at 81.8%, or $40,909, driven by subscription renewals and attendance at conferences. Traffic management is at $141,473, or 57% of budget, due to seasonality. This expense is higher than the same period of last year due to the timing of invoicing. We expect this item to be within budgeted amounts for the year. For park, recreation, and culture, the Victoria Park pool is showing at 52% of budget, which is reasonable as expense is seasonal. Active community spending is at 50.6% of budget, which is also primarily a seasonal expense. I've also attached a copy of the capital budget and spending as of July 31st. Spending is shown when invoices are entered for payment. Values are shown at total cost. However, some of the purchases will be partially funded by grants. New this month is an addition of an adjustment column where changes were made to certain items to result in an updated forecast column. The green solar project budget of $160,000 was removed from the forecast as the work has been completed and the amounts were booked to prior year in the financial statements as the work was done last year. The other adjustments relate to certain projects being over budget, and House staff is proposing we adjust the plan to accommodate these expenditures. There's a request for decision later in the meeting for council's consideration of these capital reallocations. These new columns will continue to evolve as the year goes on, so council can track how the capital plan is evolving as the year progresses. Under procurement, I provided a listing of projects awarded in July. These projects have been previously approved through the budgeting process, and many of these can also be seen in the capital update report. The amounts listed exclude HST. The one award of note this month was Cobequid Drive project being awarded to Dexter Construction for $1.7 million. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Director Russell? Councillor Graham.
Hi, I was wondering if you could, several months ago, or maybe even a year ago, council approved an investment into the stadium to cover costs, hoping to recoup them from our insurance. Can you show me where that's reflected in here, that investment that we chose to make? And I forget the amount, and I was hoping you could remind me of that too.
I believe there was an amount of $500,000 that was approved by council for HVAC and electrical upgrades that were to be, at the time were hoped to be covered by insurance.
So is that reflected in capital? Is that where we would see that?
Yeah, but those expenditures happened in prior years, so they wouldn't be in the reports I provided today.
Here.
Yeah.
How are we doing on recouping those through our insurance?
I believe those were in those in particular were listed in the memo that was sent out to council in the briefing note. Yeah. I don't believe those, part of them were, part of them were recovered by insurance, but not the entire amounts. I don't know them. I can't recall the numbers right offhand.
Okay. Thank you.
That was in the briefing note, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we're now going to move on to our next report, which is our fire service with report. So Chief Curry, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council. For the months of July and August, we had 5 structure fires, 4 car fires, 7 brush fires, 10 smoke calls, smell smoke calls, 51 alarms, 22 motor vehicle collisions, 118 medical calls, 7 burning complaints, 2 elevator rescues. We assisted our neighbors, the police department, twice. We had 2 public assistance calls, 2 mutual aid calls, and 4 gas oil leaks for a total of 236 calls. The fire inspector completed 8 inspections, 6 follow-up inspections, gave out 2 alcohol and gaming, or did 2 alcohol and gaming inspections, and put on 1 order to take action, and removed 1 order to take action, and did 2 fire investigations. The fire prevention officer continues to work with the Fire Smart program, along with duty crews completing our first certificate and instruction portion along with DNR. Josh is also mentoring students in the Fire Inspector Certification Program, and there's continued work with the Fire Inspectors Association There's continued work with the Fire Inspectors Association of Nova Scotia as a board member, recently meeting in Halifax for a facilitator's certificate course. Firefighter training for the month of July and August was on forestry pump training, tactics, and we went over the new brush truck. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I don't quite remember. It was in the package, but you got this brush truck, I believe, from DNR. And if you could just comment on that, because in the spring, we put into the budget a kind of a machine that would allow access throughout the park, et cetera, and that would be tooled up to attack a fire as soon as it happened, get there quickly and effectively. So I just wonder if you could just talk about the effectiveness of those 2 pieces of gear and whether or not what we've got as a used piece of gear from DNR does the job that we were hoping it would, that we were looking for.
Yes. We were fortunate to have a unit donated out of the surplus from DNR's brush trucks that they took out of service last year. So we managed to go after one of those, and we did receive that as a contribution or a gift towards Truro to help us with our Victoria Park and our wildfires. That truck replaced what we temporarily put in place, I think almost 2 years ago, as a brush truck, by using one of our old vehicles and getting a skid for the back, if you guys can remember at budget time. So this is actually a unit that is designed for that use only. Carries 500 gallons of water. It already has pumps. It has places for all of our gear, which we're hoping to outfit more as we go through this year to get it up to where it needs to be. But yes, that will serve the purpose that we need for a Victoria Park. It's a shorter truck. It can get in smaller areas. It can be a fast response from the station. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it does answer my question. I wonder, Madam Mayor, whether or not we need to send a thank you letter on behalf of council or behalf of the town. I don't know if that's required, or I would, if it's a good idea, I'd like to suggest it, that we send a letter thank you to DNR for their contribution to the fire safety effort in
Do that.
Victoria Park.
Yep, do that. Thank you, Deputy. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for the report. Great to hear that certifications are still able to continue or at least be maintained. Certainly having that training result in certification, very useful for anyone taking the training. Just of note that I thought, it seems a little bit high, but we are combining July and August, but I'm surprised that only 10 calls for smell of smoke, especially after the summer that we've had. So it tells me hopefully that people are paying attention to, I can smell smoke, but I know there are wildfires everywhere. I don't see columns of smoke. I don't see flames, so hopefully nobody's raising alarm unnecessarily. I did want to ask about the brush fires, because obviously with we had the motion we were talking about earlier with naturalized lawns and talking about the tall grasses. Certainly I keep hearing tall grasses are at risk for fire, but that's tall dry grasses, because I read elsewhere that tall grasses maintain more moisture, they shade the soil, they encourage deeper root growth, and can actually be more moist. Can you expand briefly a little bit on your experience with the brush fires, with those, because are we talking long grasses, or are we just talking people burning brush? And I guess your experience in the moisture levels around, any of these areas that are unmaintained.
Well, unfortunately, with the dry conditions that we've been having, everybody's garden, no matter what, is dry.
Yeah.
And actually, when as we move forward with our Fire Smart program, we talk about yards and lawns and all those different things within the program. Within the program, you'll see a lot of that about keeping your property, your brush and your grasses and your vegetation further away from your home to give you a little bit more of a buffer.
Mm-hmm.
You are right, nice green. That's why there's certain times of the year when the leaves are green and everything on the trees, they don't burn as quick as when it's the spring and the fall when everything is dying. But when you get in these really dry conditions, even places that are usually green are dry.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the higher vegetation you have, the easier it is to catch the winds, the easier it is to move the fires. So that's one of the things that we look for also. But yes, brush fires are, when I list brush fires, instead of listing one grass fire, one tree on fire, it's all in a category.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything from mulch fires to, sometimes I'll point out mulch in the summer to get people aware of not throwing cigarette butts into mulch. We might do 5 or 6 of those in the spring when everything warms up. You get the fresh mulch. So our brush fires are anything from grass to anything related within the woods that's on fire.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dolter?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, and again, I had my senior moment is over. I remembered what I forgot before. I just would like a motion just to formalize this for council to write the 2 letters that I think the deputy mayor may have asked for both of them. One is a letter of thank you to the Minister of DNRR for the bush truck, and the second letter would be to the County of Colchester, requesting them to reconsider their contribution to No. 2 Construction Battalion Athletic Facility. Yeah, so if I could just,
Okay, thank you for that. And so you've heard the motion for DNR and the second one to reconsider funding for the number 2 Construction Athletic Battalion facility. So who would like to who would like to make that motion? Deputy Mayor would, seconded by Councillor McGrath.
Are we doing both at once?
Yes, we might as well.
Can we separate them?
yes.
We could. I don't know why, but we can, sure. So the first motion would be to make a motion for the DNR truck. And that would, our Deputy Mayor, are you prepared to make that motion again? Seconded, please. Okay, Councillor Graham. All in favor? Any discussion? Motion approved. Second motion for a letter to go out to the municipality of Colchester to rethink funding for the number 2 Seabath, the former tack grounds. Would somebody prepare to make that motion? Deputy Mayor, seconded. Councillor Talbot, all in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion, sorry. Any? None. All in favor, say aye. Contrary minded?
Nay.
Oh, Ian, Councillor McGrath, you have a question?
I think based on the original terms, and this is, considering I was not on council at this time, but that we had initial consultations, this was the expected contribution from the county. I don't think we expected them to raise, and I think that this is money well spent on infrastructure in our town for our residents and for the surrounding area. We have to acknowledge that there are no walls or toll booths set up at the boundaries of the town and the county, and that many of our facilities and businesses are used by the county as well as by residents of the town, and I think it's inappropriate to ask. I think we can ask, they can, if they wish to consider, but I don't want it to come across as heavy-handed or petty. So I just want us to be very careful with that approach.
Thank you. This is one of the points that Deputy Mayor and the CAO and I made at the meeting with the Minister of Justice. We may have 14,000 residents in the town of Truro, but during a day we may have 38,000. So, we are a town that encompasses a great deal of people that work and play and use our facilities. So, and I see the light on from Councillor Wayne Talbot.
Yeah, because I guess I feel a little differently, given that all the stats that we've seen, 70% of the usership of our sports facilities are from the county. I adamantly support sending that letter.
Thank you. I agree. Thank you so much. Okay, we've done that, so we're going to move on now. Oh, yes, we didn't vote. I'm sorry. Look, we're into like 2.5. We're getting there. I'm getting tired. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Nay. Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Council. I always get excited when I hear the next report from Planning and Development from Mr. Fox. So, Director Fox, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is the report from Planning and Development for the month of July and August 2025. The first item on there was the naturalized lawn policy, which has already been covered in today's discussion. Second item there is planning applications. We currently have 12 development applications in the town. We have one at 656 Yonge, one at 730 Yonge, one at 373 Roby, one at 201 Callback Street, one at 67 Inglis Place, one at 37 Braemar, one at Rexdale Ford and Marshland, just generally in that area. We have one at McClure's Mills and Lower Truro Road. We have one at 199 Willow Street, one at 155 Arthur, one at 245 Roby, and one at 423 Roby. We have 3 site plan approval active applications. We actually just received one more today on Glenwood. In terms of development permits, building statistics for July and August in 2024, we are at $29,222,573. For July and August 2025, we were at $27,115,443. By law enforcement, we had 74 active files over the summer months, and 50 of those have been resolved, respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Director Fox. Any questions? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Very quick question for Mr. Fox. Do we have any update on the Stanfields development and the signing of the development agreements there?
Yeah, so I've been working with them this morning to finalize the draft of the agreements. There's, well, 2 separate agreements, but I did respond to them today. They had just some minor edits they wanted to make to the 2 draft development agreements, and we're looking at having those signed shortly. I do believe that the last indication I had from them is that they're still working on their architectural drawings. So the consultant indicated that they're behind schedule on producing those. So that's probably going to delay the start construction date. So at this point, I'd be surprised to see it happen before spring, but it may.
Okay. And can I assume that when these agreements are signed, there will be some sort of post made on our social media announcing, because this is a major project, or 2, I guess, major projects happening within the town. Would that be something that would be announced?
Well, I mean, it is just a legal agreement being signed, so it's not really a formal, like, the formal approval's already happened, so I would be more inclined to say when maybe the permits are issued be more a cause for celebration as opposed to the moment they sign the agreement. But it's as your wish. The council wishes me to do a social media post on.
I think when permits are issued is probably sufficient. Thank
And
you.
I should note too that when I referred to construction start, that would be for the building on Queen, not for the renovation of the factory buildings.
Yeah, right. The Queen Street building was
Then-
planned to be first. Because I think in the initial presentations, they were looking at doing one, I think it was like 1, 2, 2A, and 3 or something. But the Queen Street was going to be the last one, and now it's the first one.
It's the first one. It has been for a while.
Okay,
It's going to be the one done, it's the parking lot on Queen Street. That will be redeveloped.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Director Fox. Our next report is Truro Police Service. Chief Dave McNeel, your report, please.
Thanks, Mayor Hinton. As luck would have it, I have 2 reports for 2 months.
Oh,
Not that
thank
we want
you.
to be here any longer.
Bonus, yeah.
Anyway, July's report is as follows. We had 30 motor vehicle collisions. We issued 212 summary offense tickets under the Motor Vehicle Act, conducted 9 road safety check stops. We had 16 noise, animal, and bylaw type complaints, 6 impaired driving investigations, 2 drug investigations, 131 calls for Liquor Control Act, Trespass Act, and 911 Act. 42 mental health calls, 47 well-being checks for a total of 89 between the 2. Court order violations were 21 files, 20 assaults, robbery, or harassment files. We had 49 total thefts. There were 23 property damage or disturbance calls, 3 break-and-enters, 13 frauds, 97 suspicious person or vehicle calls, 32 alarms, 194 general assistance complaints, for a total of 965 calls for the month of July, with 236 of those resulting in charges. There were also 64 speeding offenses issued on a variety of streets. August report, we had 28 motor vehicle collisions, 147 summary offense tickets under the Motor Vehicle Act were issued, 14 road safety check stops, 16 noise or bylaw type complaints, 12 impaired driving investigations, 2 drug investigations, 121 calls for Liquor Control Act or Trespass Act, 29 mental health calls, 41 well-being checks, which gave a total of 70 of those types of calls, 20 court order violation charges, 15 crimes against the person, 13 assaults, and 45 thefts, 18 property damage or disturbance calls, 3 break-and-enters, 7 frauds, 154 suspicious person or vehicle calls, 38 alarms, and 178 other general police assistance calls, for a total of 901 calls for the month, 171 of those resulting in charges, and 50 summary offense tickets for speeding offenses. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Councillor Grant?
I'm just wondering how you're making out, or if you have an official role in advocating to the province about the implications of the most recent police review on our community. Are you actively involved in organizations, or?
Just the Nova Scotia Chiefs of Police Association, yeah.
And how's that going?
It's very early on, I would suggest. I think Mr. Dolter had in his report that the minister has gone around to the communities with their own police services to kind of see what the reaction is, and they don't have a lot of answers, to be quite frank. They seem very unorganized, and I don't think their decisions are very well thought out at this point. But Nova Scotia chiefs are engaged in that, as well as the police unions, and there's probably more to come on that.
Is there more we can be doing as a council to support you at this time and our police services?
I don't think at this time, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Chief, for your report. I want to talk about something actually in the report, and this is something we discussed by email, but I wanted to bring it out sort of more publicly, I guess, and that is that the police range is not currently in use. Is that correct? There's no active training happening during the Woods Ban?
We're not actively training right now. We do have training scheduled for the end of September and October. As I stated in the email, we're municipal employees on municipal land, so we're exempt from this ban in regards to municipal property. We also reached out to the Department of Natural Resources and got written confirmation that we are allowed to train, even with the ban on, and had conversations with Chief Curry about a fire plan in the event the ban is still on in the end of September when we do have our training.
Right, so if anybody is hearing gunshots in the area around the park, that is not the range being used, and that is something that they should call Truro Police about to report, correct?
Correct. When we use our range, we post on social media the day before, and again the day of, that we're doing police training, and they may hear those sounds. So that's always posted when we do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Chief. Next up, as earlier mentioned by our CAO, we welcome Oliver Browning to his role after our Andrew McKinnon has left. So, Mr. Browning, your report, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hinton. My full report is included in your council packages. I trust you've all had a chance to read it. At this time or whatever, I will give you the monthly highlights of July and August. And afterward, or whatever, I welcome any questions and comments you all may have. So as you all can see, work on the Willow Street Sidewalk project has been substantially completed by Dexter Construction. Since the project has been executed under budget to date, staff are continuing to review options for any additional sidewalk and curb extensions within this project area. Also of note, construction tenders closed on July 27th and July 29th for this year's street recapitalization and road preservation tax funded projects. This work initially included sections of Prince Street from Commercial Street to Pleasant and Wood Street to Aberdeen Street, Willow Street from Arthur to Victoria, and the lower portion of Martha Avenue, as well as George Street. The asphalt milling work was awarded to Dexter Construction Company Limited for a contract price of $84,240 plus HST. The asphalt street paving work was awarded to Will Care Paving and Construction for a contract price of $387,000 HST extra. The values of these tenders were under budget, which allowed us to add Duke Street, the section from Willow Street to King, as well as additional length of Martha Avenue to this year's capital projects. As noted in Ms. Russell's monthly report, the construction tender closed for Cobequid Drive Street Recapitalization Project on July 29th. Dexter Construction Company Limited were awarded the construction contract for this project for a contract price of $1,719,000 plus HST. I will note that this contract price includes a $150,000 contingency allowance built in that is to cover any additional work that may arise from unknown conditions that may be encountered during construction. Construction is expected to commence early this September, in fact this week. The date of substantial performance of contract is noted within the construction contract to be December 23rd, 2025. This year's street recapitalization community building fund projects, this is the gas tax money, formerly known, are to include Havelock Street, section of Queen Street from Western Tracks to Elizabeth Street, as well as Cobequid Drive. Of note, Argus Drive, which was originally listed within our this year's capital projects list, will be delayed in execution until the remaining work of the Argus Drive ball field is completed. The existing traffic and pedestrian signal lights at the intersections of Queen Street and Walker Street, as well as the intersection of Queen Street and Lawrence Street, are planned to be replaced this fall, and will have traffic sensors incorporated into them to improve traffic movement through these intersections based on traffic volumes at any given time. Harborside Engineering, which is retained by our department to complete the design and tender/construction documents for this project, now has all the information needed to complete their work, and this project is to be issued for tender within the next couple of weeks. On top of all the operational improvements, capital planning, and service requests, department staff continue to have a high level of effort of project oversight and project management services required to be directed to the No. 2 Construction Battalion facility, the Colchester Legion Stadium renovations, and the new Argus Drive ball field projects to date. Staff are continuing to progress the department's asset management plans and programs. Progress has also been slowed up to now due to the level of effort of project oversight and project management services I mentioned. The department has issued 46 working within town right-of-way permits to date in 2025, with 20 of them issued during the months of July and August. Department staff have received 89 service requests from residents as well as other town departments during the months of July and August. The department has completed 124 service requests over the year to date. The Environmental Services Water Crew has continued with hydrant maintenance throughout the months of July and August, which included repairs to 6 hydrants. The water crew also responded and effectively repaired 8 water service leaks and 2 significant water main breaks, each on Willow Street and Callback. They also continue catch basin, manhole, and pumping station maintenance, as well as renewed 2 sanitary sewer laterals in these months. The Transportation Services crew has placed over 520 ton of asphalt patching for utility cuts and potholes on various streets within the town this year to date. 120 ton, in fact, during the months of July and August alone. Patching activities will continue through early September before starting the department's in-house capital projects. They also repaired 10 areas of concrete infrastructure within the town this year to date. Concrete reinstatement from various utility cuts and maintenance in town will continue throughout the remainder of the summer and into the fall. As noted earlier, together with the CAO and the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, the department completed union workforce collective agreement negotiations in August with the QP union. The new agreement was ratified by council, as you know, on August the 13th. Our department's full monthly council report, included within the council package, is provided to council with details on the services provided by the department and updates on status and progress of projects under each of our 5 areas of service of our department. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Browning. Your report in the package was very detailed. I like it. Do we have any questions?
Well, thank you.
We do. I see we have lots of questions for you. You're not getting away escape today, your first day. Councillor Graham.
I'm just wondering about our water supply. How are we doing? Many municipalities across the province, of course, are in dire situations. How are we doing?
Short answer is fine. The more elaborate answer is that we staff at the water utility monitor the reservoir levels as well as the output of the water treatment plant on a daily basis. You've probably heard from numerous residences, as I have, and from different pictures and posts, noting the water level within the reservoir. It is slightly lower than what it has been at this time in previous years, which is to be expected based on just the weather that we've had and the dryness that we've had, and if you want to call it a drought that we've had. We've been able to maintain, it's at a level essentially that we're not in the similar state as a lot of other towns and municipalities or water utilities are, who aren't quite as fortunate as we have with just the nature of the infrastructure we have with our water utility. But with that being said, I will give a sneak preview that you'll be expected to see some notices come out in the coming week or 2 for some preservation measures, just to be on the safe side, because we are, I mean, this has been going on for quite a while. Fortunately, we haven't had to go to the level of preservation that some of these other municipalities have had to get to right now, but we also want to be prudent.
So is this the time of year that we do, water flushing?
This year, if I recall, so we alternate, every second year we will do two rounds of flushing, a fall and a spring, or fall, spring and a fall. So every second year we do that. Last year I think was the year that we did 2. This year was only 1. if I recall. I have to check to make sure. But if it's not, we'll probably hold off.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that, because we had that discussion, you and I, just the other day about, even though we've been very lucky in the town, all citizens should be very cognizant of trying to, be very cognizant of our water, because even though we're in good shape compared to others, we have to be conscientious of that.
Well, it's the old saying, when you don't go and do anything sort of proactive, you're in good shape until you're not.
Absolutely.
And we'd rather not be. We'd
Absolutely.
rather not to be that state, or whatever. We'd rather know ahead of time, or at least kind of do some proactive measures in place to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Browning. I echo the planning. I think it was Dale Carnegie said, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail.
There you go.
Something along those lines. And I did want to follow up a little bit on the water supply, because yes, I've seen some of the pictures as well. The supply is low, and I don't know how deep that actually goes, but I would imagine still quite some distance. Yeah.
Yes.
The fact that we have made it this long without any sort of restrictions or advisories is fantastic, and you're right, we are very lucky to be living in Truro and to have that infrastructure. But looking ahead, what if we don't get the snowpack this year to help refill the reservoir and things? I mean, we are getting droughts after droughts after droughts. I think this is, in 2022 we had that, the closures again with the wildfires, and now we've got droughts and closures this year. Or it might have been 2023, but in recent years we've had the woods closed to Nova Scotians due to drought. It seems to be, I don't know, maybe a pattern of climate change hitting us. What sort of plans are we putting in place to help protect the reservoir? As an example, and I don't know if this works, I remember seeing posts on social media, so take with several grains of salt, but these plastic balls being floated into people's reservoirs to help prevent the evaporation. Now, I don't know if that was actually successful, possibly not, as I've not seen those posts for a while, so maybe it wasn't something that worked. But do we have any plans long-term to help provide that capacity, or to help us keep in a good place?
Well, essentially, you make mention of what may happen or whatever should we have certain a certain climate through the winter time that may differ from previous years. This is essentially our continuous monitoring of not only the reservoir, but also the weather conditions itself in comparison to previous years, and what impact on the reservoir, the treatment plant, source water it's having. So as we begin to, what I'll say is, as we begin to start seeing some trends that don't look too terribly promising in comparison to previous years, that's when we start going and thinking, okay, what kind of measures can be put in place to make sure? Might be some simple conservation measures or whatever in a particular period of time that may be unexpected, only because we want to be proactive moving into a season where we would start seeing that, just to get ahead of it. Those are the kinds of things I can say right now. Anything definitive at this point in time would just be pure guesswork, because we're just guessing on what the future may bring. But we're monitoring things to be able to anticipate what may come down the path and be able to react in a relatively quick manner. And then once we get more data established as things start, if we're seeing a change of permanent nature in certain climate patterns, that's when we can start taking a look at something more long-term as far as protection and as far as usage.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question is about the paving schedules. I see, we've got some, in the very detailed report that you have not read in full detail, much to the, I'm sure, delight of people at home, not having to sit through the entire thing, but it's a lot of great detail that I appreciate. Havelock Street does not seem to have a proposed start and end date. Is that
Correct.
Because it's still we've only got 25% of the detailed design done?
Correct.
So are we expecting that to still occur this year, or is that going to get pushed off till next year?
The word is hope, not expect. The word is hope at this point in time. Our resources right now are being put toward the projects that you see. You start taking a look at the calendar or whatever, and yes, you can kind of extrapolate ahead or whatever. We're starting to run out of some time. What's going to be involved with the section of Queen Street that we're doing, is a little bit of something that's going to be a field, we'll call it a field fit, just by its nature. You go out there or whatever, there's nothing terribly conventional about the particular area. We also have to deal with CN. So we've got some moving parts with that, so to be able to iron down a definitive schedule for ourselves when that's going to be completed, to be able to move our crews to another project like Havelock, for example, is up in the air at this point in time.
Okay.
So what I will say is that our contingency plan for that one particular project is that we are planning to complete the design of that work this year for sure. Local businesses within the area that will be impacted, we are going to reach out and go over the design and anticipated construction work with, if we can't do it this year, with the anticipated start date in the spring. There's thought behind this in that we're mindful of the timing of the work of that particular project, in that the nature of the businesses are, we'll say, tourist-related restaurants, where our preference is just to kind of lessen the blow of the construction work to the neighborhood, is to have it conducted in the springs or the fall, to leave the summer to their busy time so they can make their hay.
Right. I'm sure that's appreciated. Final question is around the, you mentioned in here about the traffic sensors and stuff.
Yep.
Are those sensors going to work on bicycles and other mobility aids?
Yes.
Yes. I love a definitive answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Talbot?
Yeah, Mr. Browning, my issue, I guess, is around milling, and particularly where it crosses the crosswalk. The one I'm talking about currently is George Street. This is causing extreme difficulty for people with mobility aids. And I was contacted by a representative of the group asking, because there seems to be a delay in between the milling contract and the paving contract, that could be an extended period of time when that crosswalk is like that. So they were asking the question, is there anything that can be done to make those crosswalks passable? Like, could you put gravel down or things like that? So I had a few pictures I put in through the official complaint system. You were on vacation, so of course didn't get a chance to see it.
No problem.
But
I can
maybe
certainly
you could
picture.
have someone have a look at that and see if there's anything we could do.
One of the things what I'll say, Councillor Talbot, is, I mean, you are correct. I mean, these are, if you notice or whatever, they're two separate construction contracts as to how we let the milling and the paving out. With that being said, try to coordinate the two so that one follows immediately after the other is nearly impossible. We're trying to minimize those, the delays in between the two. I appreciate you pointing out George Street, because that one did indeed kind of, we'll say, the milling spilled into closer to Roby Street than a lot of the other Main Street ones, and went across a crosswalk. What we can look at doing is, I don't know if gravel would necessarily be the solution, but we could look putting, depending on how long this is going to be, if there's going to be a little bit more of a delay than what's reasonable, we could go and look at putting like asphalt patchwork down, just to kind of create ramps on either side that's easy to remove when we're ready to come pave, just to try our best to accommodate it. It's not going to be perfect, unfortunately, and so, but that's something we can certainly look at or whatever, just to kind of help. I can appreciate or whatever. It does kind of, it certainly does almost eliminate accessibility just in the immediate area. Yep. Yep.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Thomas?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just maybe start off with a comment. I think that we've got water at this time where other municipalities are very concerned, not because of good luck, but because of good planning. Some years ago that the height of the dam was increased to store more water, so that, for years like this, in which we would be in a situation where we'd require, be in a desperate situation. So I want to hats off to good planning in the past. My question has to do with the recapitalization road preservation tax funding projects. There's several of them. Some of them are underway. Are we going to see them all completed this fall, or is that?
Yes.
Excellent. Looking forward for Duke Street to be done. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Right. Councillor Pryor?
My question is about Walker and Prince, the lights.
Yes.
Are they fixed?
The ones on Walker, Walker and Queen, or Walker and Prince. Are they fixed?
Yes.
Each time they turn back on, they are fixed until the next time they go out. This is a headache and a half for ourselves as well as you, I can imagine. And it's like anytime, apparently over the last while, we think that we have the problem nipped. Something, a little phenortinizer in the thing gets replaced, and we think, good, we got it this time. Lo and behold, a week later, and we're back to square one. So hopefully this time. But what I will say is if recent history or whatever plays out again, what we may look at is this coming budget season as far as capital works may look at that intersection of streetlights, because that is a busy intersection for each vehicle and pedestrian traffic. So that might be something we need to look at for next fiscal year, perhaps, if our latest fix does not stick.
So we're just going to cross our fingers and hope it works this time?
Both hands.
Thank you.
At this point in time, unfortunately, I mean, I wish I could tell you more, but essentially it is puzzling, because it just seems like we're going through each little component of it, and just the nature of it, as you even just look at it, like just through naked eyes, of just the whole setup of what's there is not exactly conventional, and so there's a lot of things that are kind of pieced together just because they had to be pieced together in a way to fit the intersection, not necessarily being conventional, which makes it a little more difficult if something goes wrong to trace it back. So hopefully we've got it this time. But again, like I say, I will say I commend our transportation services staff or whatever, because the response times to the intersections have been great, even during weekends and like when these things go off, to try our best to get these things back moving or back in place again. But I certainly share the sentiment of annoyance.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Parr. Our last question for Mr. Browning is from Deputy Mayor Thomas.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you about Queen and Lorne Street and that whole, western parts of Queen Street. They're getting rough. The Queen and Lorne is an annoyance. Everybody slows down, and
Right at the intersection.
right in the intersection,
Yes.
there was a water main or something worked on last fall, and it's all, settled and depressed. And then the other thing is some of the Queen Street itself is, by spring, it's not going to be pretty, I don't think. So any comments on that, please?
What I will say is that in particular, the intersection itself, so the utility patch was there. The patch itself was a result of some remaining work that was to be completed on the sanitary sewer main project undertaken a couple of years ago that ran new sewer main down Lawrence Street. It has only been patched at this time was because we have to reopen that intersection for two reasons in the very, very, very near future. One is the traffic signals work. Second is also replacing a manhole in that intersection to better align this new sewer network connection at that intersection, makes sure things are flowing where they're flowing. So we weren't going to go and do a perfect, we weren't going to do a perfect fix on that only to rip it up or whatever within a month's time. Our transportation services crews did apply some additional asphalt patching there a couple weeks ago to try to spruce it up a bit to keep it as passable as reasonable. I guess I would just suggest or whatever, hope that, a little bit more patience for everyone, because the permanent fix will be coming once. Actually, there's going to be a little bit more pain, we'll say, at that intersection before the 100% gain is going to be realized, because once the work starts at the intersection for not only a manhole replacement but also the traffic signals, things will get messy for a little while.
Okay, thank you for your report.
Thank you, Deputy. Mr. Dolter, do you want to say something?
Just one question, Ms. Browning. Are we still above the old high water mark as far as the reservoir goes?
Above the old high water
mark. So
That's
before.
a good question. I've never actually looked to see
I missed-
prior to the expansion of the reservoir.
Yeah, I know at least a couple weeks ago, and I realize we've had a lot of warm weather, a lot of dry weather since then, but it was indicated we're above the high water mark of the old reservoir. So not to, again, we've discussed this before about bringing in some measures in order to conserve and encourage people to conserve, but I'd be interested, we'll check that out after. But I think that was the case, like I said, a couple weeks ago. So that just indicates, to the Deputy Mayor's point earlier, how valuable this project was that we did way back, I guess in the 90s, I guess it was when we made the change. And because again, it's allowed us to do that, but you know, again, if it does continue and we get below that mark, then we'll start to get, obviously that'll be kind of a mark that, you know, we really do have to start getting a little bit more vigilant in water conservation.
Exactly, thank you.
Right, yeah, even at minimum or whatever, just even for curiosity's sake, to look and see just by comparison or whatever from previous life or whatever, just to see where things are with our new reservoir compared to the old.
Yeah.
Be interesting information regardless. No, we'll look at that.
Thank you. Our final report today is our Parks and Recreation and Culture Report. Director Sims, if you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The department had a successful and productive summer season. We were pleased to welcome 39 summer staff who supported a wide range of operations, including litter collection, community beautification, recreation programming, event support, tree planting, swimming lessons, and lifeguarding. We are grateful for their contributions and wish them the best in their upcoming year. Maintenance staff were very active throughout the summer, focusing on regular lawn care and watering, trail upkeep and repairs, general maintenance across parks and public spaces. Staff continue to respond to ongoing concerns regarding garbage and discarded needles, particularly in and around encampments. These situations remain a challenge, but our team continues to address issues promptly and safely where possible. Our sport fields, parks, and trails were in high demand throughout the summer. Local sport organizations resumed full activity, and attached is a summary of our field usage for the season. The town's tree inventory is ongoing using an ArcGIS Fields map with 839 trees mapped to date, including the 200 trees planted by our summer students. The goal is to build a comprehensive database similar to those in major cities. This year's street tree planting program had planted 47 sites with 31 species. Unvisited sites will roll over into future planting seasons. Through a $60,000 CN Rail Eco Connections grant, 166 trees were planted in several key areas, with over 40 more trees to be planted this fall. Hemlock woolly adelgid treatment was completed for 340 trees in Lower Victoria Park, with further treatments scheduled for this fall. With the current provincial woods ban, Victoria Park and rail yard maintenance staff were able to continue work with some safety precautions. Parks improvements included trail cleaning, hazard tree removal, tree planting, bridge repairs, and construction of new accessible picnic tables. The Victoria Park pool opened on June 30th and remained a major attraction throughout the summer. Both open swims and swimming lessons were in high demand. The pool closed on Sunday, August 31st. The Colchester Legion Stadium opened up early this year on August 18th to meet increased demands for hockey development programs and accommodate closures at the rec. Canada's Park Day was held on July 19th in Victoria Park and when it was enhanced in celebration of Truro's 150th anniversary. The event included free barbecue, inflatable activities, balloon animals, face painting, yard games, musical entertainment, and the VP Challenge Kids Obstacle Run, which had over 150 children participate. Sunday concerts in the park ran throughout July and August, with an additional concert on Labor Day. These concerts were well attended and appreciated by our senior population. Movies in the park also returned in August, with local non-for-profits helping select the film lineup. Emancipation Day was marked on August 1st with the reading and signing of the Emancipation Day Proclamation. Our summer staff team had a packed calendar of events for all ages. Events included craft days, water days, drop-in pickleball, caregiver and tot free play, sport field days, and more. In June, Truro and Colchester County participated in the Participation and Most Active Community Challenge. We are excited to learn that we tied with a Cape Breton community to be recognized as Nova Scotia's most active community in 2025. This is a wonderful achievement reflecting the energy and engagement of our residents. The summer equipment loan program continued to be popular with consistent weekly bookings. And looking ahead, the Skylar Blackie Fit to Be Hero Challenge is scheduled for October 4th and registration is open. Throughout July and August, the town recognized several important dates within our community, including Canada Day, Disability Pride Month, 50th anniversary of the Apex Golf Tournament, Emancipation Day, Acadian Heritage Month, National Acadian Day, and International Day of Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Another slow Summer for Parks, Recreation, and Culture in the town of Truro. Busy times indeed. I see a couple questions, and Councillor Fleming, you're up first.
Thank you, Mayor Hinton, through you to Ms. Sims. A couple, well, first a comment, I guess. Kudos. The staff park staff did a great job this year with keeping everything in shape. It's just amazing. Every year it just seems to get better and better with the pool and everything. They do an excellent job. I'm just wondering about minor football. Are they going to be at the 2nd Battalion, or do you know?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah,
mean,
we're just
it's gonna
waiting
be
for
great.
the final completion of the project, and then we'll take over and get all of our athletes on the fields.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. And can you comment on the canteen at the Legion Stadium there? I know we have a senior hockey team coming this year to Truro Senior Bearcats, and they're going to be having games in October, I think, or November. They're starting their league games. And
Yeah, they have 10 games scheduled. The Colchester Legion Stadium used to run its own canteen. Financially, that was not a successful business. So we made the decision a few years ago before, I think even before COVID, to close the canteen down. Since then, we've been looking at opportunities to rent that space out, and we are looking at what different avenues to take and make sure that it's the most successful option for both the stadium and for whoever wants to rent that location.
And will whoever takes it over, will they have the opportunity to, with the high school kids? Because I know they used to use it quite a bit as well.
Those are all things that we need to look into. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say also kudos to the summer staff for the videos. Their social media was incredible this year.
They did amazing.
So enthusiastic. It was I had a lot of calls. People loved it. Councillor Graham, not Councillor Graham. Councillor Graham's lights not on. Councillor McGrath. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Ms. Sims, for your report. Quick questions on the Skylar Blackie event. Now, obviously, the woods ban is still in effect. It might still be in effect on October 4th. I understand there's some sort of contingency plan developed so that can still go ahead if the ban is in place. Is that correct?
Yes, we are working on a plan B right now. So we will promote that as soon as it's confirmed.
Okay, we don't have any sneak peeks that we can share here at council?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I registered over the weekend. I'm looking forward to another year. I'll add a medal to the collection here. The pump track, I know that one was also supposed to have started construction. Have they been impacted by the woods ban?
We have spoke with DNRR and we have permission to move ahead. So I reached out to the contractor this morning, just set up a couple different options to make sure that we are operating safely.
Okay, so I had heard a September 5th date. I don't remember where I heard that, so it might be incorrect. But that construction hasn't started yet?
No, they were planning on arriving sometime between this week and next week. So we'll find or hear about their arrival date soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Just a couple of comments and then a question. The two comments are 362 summer swimmers a day at Victoria Pool. That's amazing. And I want to thank the council and everybody who decided to let's reopen Victoria Pool, because that's tremendous. I think that's a tremendous participation. I think that's great. So watering bags too. Hands just that's amazing, right? Can you imagine what those trees would be like without the watering bags? And what I'm referring to is those big green bags at the base of the trees that are filled up with water every once in a while and meter out water into the rooting system of the trees. It saved a lot of trees this summer, so hats off to that idea. That was a great idea. And my question has to do with summer students and grants. How much does the town pay for summer students versus how much is paid by grants? Is there a ratio that you're aware of?
Every year is different. This year we received grants that would pay 50% of minimum wage for, I think, 10 of our students.
I see. And what does the town pay? Does it pay minimum wage or is it...
Depending on the position, we pay just a little bit more than minimum wage, up to about $19 an hour.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I always say Victoria Park Pool is the summer camp and the cottage some children never get the chance to experience, so that is their summer. So it is invaluable to our community. Are there any further questions from any councillors here for any of the reports presented today? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a sort of a generic question, I guess, for all of the senior staff, and it comes back to something that Chief Curry had said just about the firefighter certifications. And I know all of the senior staff have talked a little bit about, doing certain training here and there. And I'm just curious, with the town staff, how often are we able to get certifications for our staff with some of the training that's being done? Like some of the training might just be more FYI or, little small things, but thinking about certifications, letters after people's names and things. Are there any certifications that we were able to get for our staff? And I don't know, we can go in alphabetical order, or Mr. Dolter.
I think for time, I think I can answer probably broadly on this. Any of our staff right now that require, and particularly for public works, particular water, there's annual certification requirements that have to be met. The town we're very vigilant in that, obviously, keeping up to standard and making sure everybody has the required certifications. We also have, even with the town's town safety officer, making sure that certifications are in place for work that has to be done to meet provincial, national requirements. So each of the departments has a list of the required certifications that are required on an annual basis, and they cover those. In addition to those, with the professional designations of a lot of senior staff and some of the other management level staff, we also make sure that PD requirements are being met, and the designations of the different professional designations are being maintained as well too. So again, we're fairly vigilant in that. Just trying to think of some of the individual. Most of the ones that are concerning are on the planning side, building inspectors and that, as well as within public works. A lot of the water sewer requirements require annual certifications, and we make sure that those are done. So as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any lapses, and certainly we're fairly vigilant in making sure that those are all kept up, and so we continue to do our work. So.
Thank you for that confirmation, Mr. Dolter, that we are looking after our staff and ensuring that the town of Truro is still a great place to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I now call for a motion to accept all the committee reports. Call for a motion. Who said that? Councillor Fleming, seconded. Councillor Talbot. Any discussion on the motion? None? All in favor, say aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Okay, item number 7, questions by members. Do we have any today? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to follow up on my email from August 8th about the removal of the CN crossing behind Truro Centre Mall. That email, I had requested that we set a meeting with CN to look at some sort of replacement of that crossing. This is a fairly critical piece, that connects the downtown to Victoria Park and a lot of the residents. I won't say accosted, but I've been approached firmly by some of the business owners downtown who are very disappointed that that's been removed, fearing that it will hurt business because so many people do use that crossing. Also, there is, of course, the major concern that people are still going to cross. It's just that it's going to be less safe. Do we have any updates on a meeting with CN to discuss possible replacement of a good, safe, legal crossing of the tracks in that area?
I've been in touch constantly with CN and my contact, Thomas Bateman. Mr. Dolter is fully versed on this as well. We can certainly meet. I will stress, though, I know the inconvenience, and because I've crossed that my whole life as well. But the bottom line is, if they are trespassing, they are going to be ticketed, and right now we have the beautiful pleasure of having a whistle-free zone, and they will take that away if trespassers are caught there. And I can remember what that was like as a child, and we don't want that back. The bottom line is, CN is very aware. The directive came from Transport Canada, as we know, and once that directive came out, CN had to close that crossing immediately. So, Mr. Dolter, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think one of the things we need, Madam Mayor, too, is clear direction from council on what they want us to do. We know this has been, the threat of taking that crossing out has been present for probably about 7 or 8 years. And we know that any potential alternatives, I say potential because I'm not familiar with all the Transport Canada regulations, but I think what really pushed this change recently was the fact that Transport Canada has tightened up on some of the regulations. So even some of the previous proposals dating back 7, 8 years ago, I'm not sure even if they're feasible at this point. So it is a discussion that we could have with CN on what the possibilities are, and then council would have to decide whether or not we're prepared to enter into those. Again, the construction going through there would be for CN to do. It is their property and their land, and then we'd have to look at, and we would not own the asset. And I don't know if that complicates it either, because again, we'd be building or paying for something that we would not own. Again, I don't know what those arrangements have to be. So there's a lot of questions there, and the actual cost of doing that. Again, because the information is so old, I don't know what that would be. So
Well, he said it would be on the municipality.
yeah, I have no doubt we'd have to pay for it and not own it is the challenge. I guess it's not unlike the crossings where, because of transport regulations, we have to pay for a portion of all maintenance is done on crossings, even though we don't own the equipment that's being installed. So I guess we need direction from council. If council does want an alternative solution proposed in that discussion to have, and then we'd have to come back to council with what that might look like at the end of the day.
Great.
Great, thank you. And then just a quick comment about the Inglis Place street party. I know some of you were down there. I hope everybody got a chance to enjoy it. I did hear, that I heard a lot of really positive feedback. I was down there most of Friday night and almost all of Saturday. It was really a great time. So many people down there. And I know DTP have received a mix of feedback so far. It says overall the responses reflect both positive outcomes and constructive suggestions for improvement. So I want to congratulate DTP on all of the hard work that they did on bringing people down to Inglis Place, and all of the work that the vendors did in making their shops accessible to people on the street. It was really a great event, and I hope to see more of them in the future.
Thank you for that, and I'll be meeting with DTP shortly, and I want to hear it all as well. And I was down there, and it was a great bustle of activity, and it seemed very positive. Councillor Graham?
Regarding the CN crossing, given that the directive came from Transport Canada, would this, and I don't mean to pass the buck, but would this not be an issue maybe more suited to our Member of Parliament at the federal level rather than us at the municipal level?
She's aware of it.
Yeah, and I guess, just if I could, Madam Mayor, the thing is they're right in what they're saying.
Yeah.
So there's no way to fight the regulation. The regulation is what it is, and it's for the safety of the public. So it's not, I guess it's not inconvenient or dangerous or whatever to going across, or a nuisance going across the tracks. It's actually illegal. You cannot cross those tracks except at, in this case, on the Yonge Street crossing, right? So the difficulty that Transport Canada has is particularly the safety issue here. So without a crossing that is constructed and designed that CN can come forward and Transport Canada would sign off on, it is what it is. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep us in our lane at the municipal, federal, and provincial level. I'm not sure that this is a municipal issue.
Well, it is in the fact that we want the crossing. So I guess it is our issue because the answer currently is there is no crossing. So if we say we'd like a crossing to be there, then we have to come up with a solution between what CN could propose and what Transport Canada could approve and that we would pay for. Because other than that, this is over and above what they would normally approve in that area because they see Yonge Street as the approved crossing. And so if we want a different solution, that would be up to us to pay for it and and pay for the design work and everything that would go with that. That's the complication here, because we've gotten, well, I've said we've gotten away with it. I mean, to be clear, in case people don't understand, what was there was actually the previous pathway to the other passenger train platform.
Yeah.
And then when the platform got taken out, we continued using the path. So it was kind of a path by default, or because it was never removed. And so we just continued on. And we all know that we're in a society now where things have to be very, very safe. So the cost of the solution basically is on us if we want something other different than the roadway. So that's where, to Councillor McGrath's point, if council wants us to explore that, we got to go and have that conversation with CN and then Transport Canada get something that's going to be approved. And then it will be on us to pay for it, because right now they don't require it. And in fact, they would prefer it's not there, because, we have to come up with a solution that is safe at all hours of the day. And that could be a challenge. I mean, I can think of, if we have, for example, electronic signal, if we have a power failure and then somebody's crossing there and a train is coming and they wouldn't get a warning. So there's all kinds of things that could go wrong, and I'm sure that will come up in whatever solution we try to provide. So, I think certainly our member of parliament should maybe be aware of it, to advocate for to Transport Canada if we come up with a solution, to make sure we get approval on it. But other than that, it is on us to if we want something different.
Thank you.
Councillor Talbot.
I guess I'm really not sure why we're still discussing this, unless I completely misread the briefing note, which basically said that was never a crossing, that it was for boarding and onboarding the trains, that crossing there was a danger. And I already know one lady, you know her as well, Kathy, a number of years ago, lost her leg there. So unless it was going to be something that was extremely safe, I don't know why we'd ever want to pursue that. You're talking about walking 100 yards down the road to the official crossing. And like I say, after reading the briefing note, I thought it was a non-issue. I thought we were finished with it.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, do we have any, I have two very brief questions by members here. I just want to say that Bertram McDougall had 13 lawyers that were recognized by the best lawyers in Canada in 2026, for 2026, and I want to say that congratulations to Charles Thompson for being one of those lawyers. Yeah. Who I have the great honor to sit beside and have worked with for many years, so it's always a delight. And one other positive note, our CAO always likes me to keep it positive. We're having a pancake breakfast, a free pancake breakfast to celebrate our 150th anniversary. We're looking at October the 18th, that's a Saturday. We had pancakes last year, we're pancakes, and I think we might have sausages this year. And we're looking at that morning. Council hopefully will all be there, able to serve. It was fun last time, and that's going to be part of our 150 celebrations. We're looking at the Legion, and more details to follow. We'll put it on social media. Any other questions for members? Okay, seeing none, we're moving on. We do have to keep cognizant of the time, because if we go past 5 o'clock, we have to. We're not supposed to go past 5. We have to make a motion on that. So item number 8 is the curling club sponsorship. Mr. Dolter.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So usually we don't have grant requests, but this time we do. So again, the town is in receipt of a letter from the president of the Truro Curling Club. So it is a request on behalf of the Curling Club for support in the amount of $20,000 towards the revitalization fundraising campaign to replace the aging refrigeration system that serviced their ice surface. The project is going to be breaking ground soon, and they're hoping to have it completed by December 2025. So the project itself is an essential upgrade that will restore the consistency of the ice conditions, and that are really vital, obviously, to support the sport of curling. but they also are necessary to continue the use of the facility as the hub for amateur athletics, youth development, and community well-being. And so they've done a lot of work in trying to maintain and repair the current ice plant, but it's no longer sustainable or reliable. So that's led to, they did lose ice last year as a result of the equipment breaking down. So the curling club is from their perspective, and I think the community's perspective is a cornerstone for Life Generations, offering space for people of all ages and abilities to gather and compete and connect. And they were expressed admiration for us, obviously celebrating the 105th anniversary. Certainly a testament to the enduring legacy and impact for because they're proud to, in conjunction, I guess, with us, celebrating the 150th and celebrating the legacy for sports and the impact that it's had on the region. From grassroots youth programs to long-standing adult leagues, the club fosters physical activity, mentorship, friendship for the last lifetime. They recognize the value the town's continued commitment to recreation, infrastructure, and community wellness, and they hope we'll consider their request as a meaningful investment in both that. The support will go a long way in helping to meet their fundraising goal and ensure that the club remains a vibrant and accessible part of the community for many years to come. So again, the letter includes a sponsorship package that they've laid out, and again, they have been active going after quite a few different areas. So clearly, the town is not the only ones that they're looking at for contributions to this. So again, this is a request for council to consider. Again, and I'd be remiss if I don't remind council of the policy that we do have in place. We typically look at grants as part of our new year budget, which has completed for this year. Again, so this is kind of a mid-year request, which is not unheard of, but typically we haven't entertained. There are also a number of grant requests that council did turn down of a similar nature, but again, the reason why it's before council today is, I don't think staff are disputing that the club is a valuable part of the Truro recreation scene and provides value to the community. The question I guess council has to answer is whether or not they feel they want to issue a grant in the timeline that's being asked here. The other option that I will present would be to consider this as part of the regular grant program for the new year. Again, realizing that would not meet the timeline that they're looking at having this equipment in place, but it is an alternative that I will present. So I'll open it up, I guess, Madam Mayor, for a discussion and a motion if a member of council is prepared to make that.
And Councillor Talbot's up first. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah. Places like the curling club, the golf club, churches, this is what attracts people to communities. They come in and they look to say, once I've done my 9 to 5, what's left to do in this area? So I personally think it's important. The request is not huge. I think there would be a direct benefit to the town. So I think I would support it. And I think there's probably some precedent for in past years where we had some things come in late that we took a look at.
Councillor Fleming?
Thank you. I just want to add to Councillor Talbot's comments. I'm a member of the curling club. I have been for probably 10 years now, and what's not in the report is that there's a seniors program, a day program. There's probably 80 men that participate 4 days a week. Some of them are in their 90s. There's a women's day league. They probably have about 60 players. So it's well used. And another comment I'd like to make too, quickly, is that the curling club doesn't ask us for any money. We don't give them any money. They haven't asked for money. Later on in our agenda, we have a $150,000 ask for the rodeo and whatever else it is. So, I mean, we got to get our priorities straight, in my opinion. The curling clubs, like Truro's 150 years old. Next year's the curling club's 150th anniversary. So, I mean, anyway, that's my comments. Thank you. I'm definitely going to support it.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Graham?
I too would like to support the request. And along the lines of what Councillor Fleming has said, we run and operate an awful lot of recreational facilities in our town, and we're very lucky to have a facility that can sustain itself. And they just need a little bit of support to keep that going. I know that in other regions across the Maritimes, curling clubs have not had the success that ours has, both in terms of the athletes that they're producing and the longevity in their communities, and municipalities have had to take over the operations of those clubs. And I sure don't want to be in the position that the town would need to make even bigger contributions by taking it over if we don't support them in a small way now.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Thomas?
Yeah, I too want to support this because I believe it's a wise investment. Instead of the town paying outright for a curling rink and et cetera, you know, we're partnering with a not-for-profit and at $20,000 of a $700,000 project. And it's a capital project. It's not operating expenses, it's a capital project. So I'm very much in favor of it. And the last thing I want to mention is I don't curl. I threw one rock one time. And I don't curl because I haven't played long enough to know if I like it or not. But I still support this. So, because I see the value of it as a non-curler.
Well, they may be recruiting you after that. Yeah. So, somebody would want to make a motion, I suppose?
I'll need a motion, Madam Mayor, to support the request for
Okay.
$20,000 from the Truro.
So who would like to make the motion to support Councillor Talbot? Who would like to second that? Deputy Mayor? Any discussion further? All those in support of the $20,000 to the Twirling Club, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion is passed. Okay, thank you very much, Council.
And just, nobody asked, but there is unallocated funding within the grants for this year.
All right, so we're moving on from that, and we're moving on to item 9A, request for decision to set a public hearing date for 155 Arthur Street. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So development agreement with the Title Veterinary Service Incorporated to permit an animal and pet services use at 155 Arthur Street. So we have this request that's come forward. So, Madam Mayor, the proposed motion is be resolved. The council set a public hearing date for October 6th to consider entering into a development agreement with Title Veterinary Services Incorporated to permit an animal and pet services use at 155 Arthur Street.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. So a motion's been made for a date to be set for October 6, 2025. Who would make that motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Graham. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion for the hearing date for October 6, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion is passed. Thank you very much. Item 9B, a request for decision, capital operational surplus tender. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is actually a operating capital transfer, but not a tender.
Oh, did I say tender?
Yeah, you said tender, so I'll just correct you there.
Thank you.
So each year, council must approve any transfer of surplus funds of the general operating fund that were unbudgeted to the capital reserve. For the 24-25 fiscal year, council is being asked to approve the transfer of $926,628, which is the balance over and above the budgeted amount of $2,108,584 per the draft financial statements. Council is also being asked to approve the transfer of $710,000 in general operating surplus to the operating reserve to help rebuild the balance of the reserve following the loan to the Rath Eastlink Center, which is still outstanding. The surplus balances are as per the draft financial statements for 24-25. To approve the financial statements, the audit team must first have approval from council to transfer the funds. So again, this is a step in order to finalize the financial statements, which will then go to the audit committee for approval, and that meeting is scheduled. So again, these amounts can be seen as being finalized. They're not likely to change, but just so council does understand, these amounts will go into the statements and then go to the audit committee for final recommendation for the approval of council. Hopefully that's clear. So the proposed motion is be it resolved that council approve the transfer of $926,620 to the capital reserve and $710,000 to the operating reserve for the general operating surplus balance for the 2024-25 fiscal year. And if you do the math, that does indicate that the overall surplus is $3.7 million, just in case there's any question there. So
I'm looking for someone to make that motion. Councillor McGrath, I'm seconder. Councillor Pryor, discussion, council. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you. Item 9C, still under new business, request for decision, temporary borrowing resolution approval for Stadium Capital. Mr. Dolter.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. So to borrow funds from the province of Nova Scotia for capital projects, council must approve a temporary borrowing resolution, or a TBR, stating the purpose of the borrowing and the maximum amount to be borrowed. Once approved by council, the TBR is sent to the province for approval. The TBR states that the town wishes to borrow up to $1.5 or $1,500,000 for the Colchester Legion Stadium renovations and $300,000 for the ice plant building. So these amounts and discussion were circulated in the previous briefing note that was circulated to council. So be it resolved that council approve the temporary borrowing resolution allowing the town to borrow an amount not to exceed $1,800,000 for the province, from the province of Nova Scotia for the stadium capital, which includes $1,500,000 for renovations and $300,000 for the ice plant building.
Thank you. I'm looking for someone to make that motion. Councillor McGrath, seconder. Deputy Mayor, discussion. Councillor Graham.
Thank you for the very thorough brief that you supplied council. It was extraordinarily detailed. I had to read through it many times to wrap my head around what was being proposed there. But one question remained for me at the end, and that was, are we borrowing this money to pay for money that has already been spent, or is this for new spending?
No, this is to cover off money. So basically, we have covered the amounts through money that we are holding. So this is to offset that money so we can use to replenish what we've already spent in order to do other work. So again, we've had to pay the bills. So the borrowing will go to reimburse us for that in order to take us forward, because again, it does reduce our overall cash holdings. And because this is a long-term asset, we wouldn't be borrowing if it was something short-term. So this is a capital item that will have a useful life of, well over, hopefully 25 to 30 years. Okay. So again, it's seen as something we can amortize. If it was a short-term thing, we wouldn't be borrowing for it. We'd just pay for it. But we've chosen to amortize that because, again, that's just good cash management.
Okay, thank you for the clarity on that. The other thing I'm unclear on is why it's called a temporary borrowing resolution. Why the word temporary there?
Because that's the term the province uses. That's what they call it.
Oh, that's their term.
That's their term. It's not ours.
Okay, I thought it was just...
No, it's part of it. So when you look at the form that's attached, municipal council, and we filled in town of Truro, temporary borrowing resolution, that's a form out of the province. That's what they call this, right?
Okay, thank you then for the clarification on that.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, it's just my understanding that this is for cash management. It's a loan for 12 months. Is that correct?
No, it's not for 12 months. I think it's.
Well, it says the term is 12 months, wasn't it? Or am I wrong in reading that?
That's come up before.
That the sum be borrowed for a period not exceeding 12 months from the date.
Again,
of
I
approval of
think
the
you have the
minutes
answer
of
to this because it
Affairs
came up
Housing.
before.
What I recall from before is that that just means resolution is good for 12 months, not that we're borrowing for 12 months.
So what's the period of borrowing?
In October, we'll be coming back with the commitment, which will outline the term that we've selected and an interest rate.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, typically these go in basically five-year amounts, and then we have the option to make a balloon payment to basically pay off the loan or to renew it. So again, the resolution is open for 12 months.
Yeah.
I will blame that on the province, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Graham?
Thank you. One more question. What does this do to our credit rating? Do we know at this time? And when the province issues our, whether we're red, green, yellow, where we're at, are we affecting that rating?
Our overall debt ratio is actually being reduced, so we're actually bringing our debt load down. So this is a small amount at this point, but we're reducing our actually debt obligations. So this isn't going to have any detrimental effect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This motion has been made by Councillor McGrath. Deputy Mayor Thomas has seconded. We've had our discussion. All those in favor of approving the temporary borrowing resolution allowing the town to borrow an amount not exceeding $1,800,000 from the province of Nova Scotia for stadium capital, which includes $1,500,000 for renovations and $300,000 for the ice plant building, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 9D, request for decision, capital reallocation. Mr. Dolter.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor. So the following two capital purchases previously budgeted came in significantly over budget. So as is required, because council did approve certain amounts at budget time, council does need to approve the additional funding. So in the case of fire, the fire department budgeted $100,000 for the 25-26 fiscal year for the repair of the fire truck number 5 frame. The final cost of the frame was $116,756, which makes it $16,756 over budget. There was also some additional work done to fire truck number 5 to get it back in working order, including exhaust repairs, light replacement, for a total cost of $20,297. In total, the budget line is over by $37,053. The fire department was recently gifted with a bush truck for the Department of Natural Resources, which we previously discussed, to be used for fighting wildfires. The gift has reduced the need for the immediate purchase of a side-by-side that was included in the capital budget for $40,000. The side-by-side purchase can be deferred, and this money be reallocated to cover the overage incurred for fire truck number 5. So for Parks, Recreation, and Culture, the department budgeted $10,000 for a I'll call it a golf cart, but for a electric cart for the new grounds for number 2 Construction Battalion. Upon scoping, it was discovered that the gas-powered cart was required to be able to haul the appropriate equipment. The purchase was made for $17,915 or $7,915 over budget. Fortunately, the work required at the Victoria Park rock wall slope remediation came in significantly under budget. The slope remediation was budgeted for $155,000, and the final cost was $72,195, a savings of $82,805. Part of that balance will go to cover the overage for the cart. So, Madam Mayor, the proposed motion is be resolved. The council approve the reallocation of capital funds to defer the $40,000 purchase of the side-by-side for the fire department to fund fire truck number 5 repairs for $37,053 and reallocate $7,915 of the slope remediation savings to fund the overage for the golf cart, for the I want to say cart, for number 2 construction battalion site.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion. Okay, Councillor McGrath, seconder. Deputy Mayor, any discussion? Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This fire truck number 5, is that not our new truck? Is that's not a lot of money to spend on the brand-new truck?
No, it's actually not the new truck. It's the truck that we thought was going to have extended service. We had taken another truck out of service when the new truck got delivered. And then we found out that this truck that we were going to keep for the foreseeable future, frame had rusted out. So rather than purchasing a new fire truck, which could cost us up to $500,000, we spent $100,000 to renew the life of this of the fire apparatus here. So we should get probably another 10 or more years out of this truck.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Council, a motion has been made by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Deputy Mayor Thomas. All those in favor of approving the motion to approve the reallocation of capital funds to defer $40,000 towards the purchase of the side-by-side for the fire department to fund fire truck number 5, repairs for $37,053, and to reallocate $7,915 of the slope remediation savings to the fund of the overage for the golf cart for the number 2 construction battalion site, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Item 9, new business still. Request for a decision, Atlantic Mayor's Conference. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I did allude to this in my report, so we just need direction from council. So the town of Truro, in partnership with the county of Colchester, has an opportunity to host the Atlantic Mayor's Congress in December. This event is held twice a year. The Congress brings together mayors from across the Atlantic province to discuss key regional issues and present a unified voice to advocate for municipalities. So the cost to us for this would be hosting the meals and that for the event. And again, we'll work with the county on that to develop a budget if council does approve. So the proposed motion is, be resolved, the council authorize the town of Truro in partnership with the county of Colchester to proceed with the planning and organization of the Atlantic Mayor's Congress scheduled to take place in December 2025.
Thank you. I'm looking for someone to make a motion. Councillor Pryor, seconder. Councillor McGrath. Any discussion on this? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Dolter, you say we'll put together a budget once you have council direction to proceed. Do we have a ballpark of how much we might be spending here?
Again, I would say in the range of $5,000 to $10,000. I'm just guessing there, and that half of that cost would be ours. Again, I don't know catering bills really well, but that's just a guesstimation on my part.
Okay, that's a fairly low amount. I just don't like to commit myself to a budget if I haven't actually seen the numbers. Thank you.
Yeah, again, and we're looking at hosting it in an area that that's owned by either the town or county, so we wouldn't incur costs for a venue.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion for the Atlantic Mayor's Conference, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. This is exciting. This is a first for Truro. I'm a happy mayor seeing this. That makes me happy. So now we are at the end of a very full public agenda today. I want to thank council, staff, what did I do? We have another item?
Yes.
What's that?
9F.
Request for decision. Oh, yes, excuse me. Okay, and it's not quite 5. Okay, request for decision, appointment of the citizen rep to Joint Flood Committee. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the Joint Flood Advisory Committee requires a new volunteer citizen member to be appointed to represent the town of Truro. The position was advertised and applications were reviewed. It was recommended that Jaden Marion be appointed to the Joint Flood Advisory Committee. So the proposed motion to be resolved, the council approve the appointment of Jaden Marion as the town of Truro citizen representative on the Joint Flood Advisory Committee. This is a committee, I think, for the new council has not met yet. It meets usually a couple times a year, but it has been infrequent, and hopefully they're trying. In fact, we have a meeting coming up shortly that's been scheduled. So again, it's important to have this appointment to have the town's position filled.
Okay. Thank you very much. I apologize. My paper didn't get on my list here, so I didn't see it. So I just went right to the end. So a motion has been made for the appointment of Jaden Merriam. So I need a mover. Deputy Mayor, I need a seconder. Councillor Pryor, any discussion on the appointment? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, just want to know who the person from council is on this flood committee. Do you know? You are. Thank you very much, Mr. Fleming.
Go. Okay. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Appointment is approved. Thank you very much. Now, we're at the end of a very full public agenda, so I want to thank everyone today, council staff, our CIO, our solicitor, one of the best he is, and all those who are in council chamber with us today. Our next public council meeting is going to be on Monday, October the 6th at 1 p.m. Please continue to be kind to each other and to our town. The September 8th, 2025 Truro Town Council meeting is adjourned at 4:48 p.m. Thank you very much.